Well, here we are, Nilly. This is the final day of the event that you're adminning, hosting here, and should be a pretty fun conclusion of the day. We have Vivi in the blue, Vivi playing as the Burgundians. He loves the Burgundians, and he's up against Margu in the red. And these teams currently sit at 4th and 5th in the five-team group, but plenty to fight for today, if nothing else than just the pride of it all. So I'm excited to see what these teams can do. WWP more established overall, and the Baguettes looking to show what they're capable of.
Yeah. Just let's try to do some quick math, and I don't want to go too much into it. So WWP can still get 3rd, 4th, 5th, depending on what's happening today. Baguettes also 3rd, 4th, 5th. Only that they need one more point. The only wild scenario is if Baguettes wins 3-2 against WWP, they will have a split 4th place.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we'll see. Now, WWP, I feel, has played well, but they've had one too many games where I just feel like they fall apart early, Nilly. And I wouldn't say they're like lazy games. I just think the meta has been pretty aggressive, and the Baguettes tend to be that type of team. So the 1v1s, we'll obviously talk about it here in a moment. It's interesting to see Hindustanis versus Burgundians. I actually like that matchup for the Baguettes. But more so for the team games, I'll be curious to see if players like Paladin and Lix kind of keep it together a little bit. Maybe Paladin more so against early aggression in the 2v2s, 3v3s, and 4v4s.
Well, yeah, I think so. Lots of people theory crafted, right? What would have been better if it's a full 4v4 tournament? Who would have benefited? And it feels like WWP, lots of people said they would have performed better. And also Baguettes might have performed better if it was like 3v3 or 4v4 exclusively.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just had some incredible experience in the 3v3 tournament last month or the month before, so I think they showed what they're capable of there. Remember, they lost in the semifinals of that event, 4-3 to Aftermath, who in Aftermath then beat GamerLegion 4-2. So, you could argue that, Baguettes actually gave Aftermath more of a fight. But, Nilly, what do you think about what we see here for Vivi? Burgundians. We know he likes Burgundians. We saw it on the 2v2. But I just don't think any other high-level player prefers Burgundians like Vivi does.
Yeah, maybe Dowd is a big fan. I know that Viper also played it a bit, but it feels like Vivi is the number one who, it just feels like, okay, if I can't have Conquistadors, if that's not an option, I will try to get other advantages. And he plays super greedy, and then somehow turns up with like 20, 25 Costiers and completely wrecks your army out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really greedy. And I will sit here and I will tell you that picking Burgundians for game one, open map, Arabia, doesn't feel good to me. I will say that, but at the same time, I understand that Vivi's trying to play towards his strengths a little bit. Always got to be careful here with this elephant. Should be fine, though. And I think it's going to be tough to get to the Coustier. It's also going to be tough to bring in the elephants. And wow, that was very well done from Vivi.
Yeah. And that was a nice save. 4 HP, should easily get home, jumps into the town center. And elephant placement will be nice as well.
Yeah, not bad. Well, over to Margugu. I don't know how much you've played him over the last month or two since you've been playing a lot of Age 2 again, but man, is he an aggressive player. They're really good with that Archer meta. Kind of like a mini version of Sito, who we say is a mini version of Leary,
now I want to see a family photo. I want to see a family photo with the three of them. With Leary being the big boy.
I mean, obviously, there's not the biggest gap between the players we just mentioned. You've got Leary, who's probably like top 3. We're talking Arabia. At least top 4 based on King of the Desert. I don't know. And then you've got Sito, who's around there as well. And then Margu, I think, peaked at like 30th on the ladder recently. Plays very well. And again, every single Civ matchup, every single random Civ game, it's Man-at-Arms, it's Archers for Margu. And we have the Hindustanis for Margu. I think we're going to see this aggression really pile on here. And maybe we'll see those camels later for the Hindustanis.
Well, let's see about that. It also feels like Margugu is indeed going for the Man-at-Arm Archer build. I actually think Vivi didn't properly wall next to his stone there.
I agree. Like, if he deletes those 2 palisades at walls towards his mill, I like it a little more.
No, I also think like at the right-hand side of the stone.
Oh, you mean
there's
there's
still
a
gap.
hole there?
Yeah.
I think you're right, yeah.
very
that
sure.
seems pretty obvious now that I look at it. Also, he's not scouting anything. So he's just gotten his eco upgrades 1 age earlier. He's just bracing himself for whatever pressure might come in, which I guess is not bad logic, but there's a hole in the wall, and you've got no scouting, and you're probably going to be late to military.
Magugus might be
really
showing
bad.
it. Oh, Magugu shows it.
Ooh, but Margugu can block that because, well, the scout is weak from earlier. Oh, well played, Vivi. Never mind. Take it all back. Kind of unfortunate for Margu because I don't think Margu knew it was there until it was too late and tried to run back.
Yeah, this is so good for Vivi now. Just imagine like the 3 man-at-arms coming into your wood line. Could have been such a rough start, especially without like really going for any military early on. You really need to rely on your walls, and that's something you can do now.
Vivi should cancel, in my opinion, the second he sees man-at-arms, he should cancel the stable and go for an archer range. I think that's what a lot of players would do. You're expecting an archer/skirm follow-up. He's trying to get walls down now, and he is going to get those walls down. Well done from him. And still going to continue with scouts, and that eco is protected nearly.
Okay, it's like the weird thing is he didn't even like build the stable, saw the man-at-arm and could maybe consider canceling. He saw the man-at-arms and only afterwards placed the stable. So intentionally decided, I want to go scouts against this opening.
Now let's see how Margu treats this. See, a lot of players are going to add a spearman with an archer and come for an immediate follow-up. And it makes it tough for those scouts to engage. But look at greedy Vivi, man. Greedy Vivi. Getting the wood and the farm upgrade for Castle Age already. And he's now dropping a tower because he's expecting the archer follow-up. Like, everything about this right now is not how most players would play it. They would go for the range. They'd go for some archer skirms. They'd play into eco. They would not want a tower. But Vivi's like, I'm going to want to take that stone anyways. And I like the aspect of the scouts nearly because it does allow a counterattack.
Yeah, let's see how much he will be able to counterattack though. Right now still 3 man-at-arms. You don't really want to fight that with 3 scouts and 2 archers and a spearman coming over. There'll be quite some pressure on that palisade gate at the front. Yeah,
and I mean, for Margu, is that gate open, by the way? It is open. The villager opened it. And I don't think either player... What's happening? Okay.
He's staying on the gate instead of trying to punish the villager.
Oh, and now you've got villagers getting hit, and Margugu is going to lose one. Keep in mind, villagers are cheaper, so it's a bit easier to replenish. But gotta feel a little frustrating if you're Margu, because you've done a lot of aggression, and you've lost a villager already.
Yeah, and couldn't kill anything, right? And you were the one with the man-at-arm opening. You know that you're behind in eco upgrades, and will lose a second one even. Spearman a bit late, and that was a risky move.
Well, Vivi has not housewalled behind, though. So this army could actually break in for Margu. Obviously, both players very focused on the scouts, and Vivi trying to block it. That was so good. He's killed 3 villagers now. Wow.
Pretty massive, pretty massive. And let's take a look. Vivi, I think just 2 houses, and his woodline should be fine. He's trying to prepare the villagers. And where are the walls coming? He has enough wood. What's happening?
I think he's hoping he can just pull towards the tower, and he can weaken this and eventually kill it all with whatever new army he makes, but he doesn't have anything right now. And so I guess for Margu, the positive is you've delayed the eco, but the negative is that these farms have so much food on them. And we're going to see plenty more for Vivi, and Vivi's on stone already, which could mean more defensive towers, and could mean Coustier come out in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and then we have to think, like, how will Coustier perform against the camels? Typically, camels good if they waited for the first charge attack, so maybe you even try to squeeze in some pikemen there. Obviously, you lose some aggression, and, well, seems like some damage taken with that army, and now that's a way easier clear up if you get, like, 2 or 3 skirms out.
I do like the idea, as you see Vivi going for another villager and not getting it. I do like the idea of keeping this army in here, though, and micring your heart out, because it's not just about the villagers, but I think it's about forcing skirm numbers, right? If you run into the town center or the tower fire, he only needs like 2 skirmishers, but force him into fletching, force him to invest further into feudal age, Because you back at home, if you're Margu, you're only making units that cost wood and gold. So, with the exception, I guess, of any spearmen you make. So it still could be good for Margu.
Yeah, I'm not thinking we will see too many spearmen, and archers now knocking at the front door, and quite some HP loss on the early skirms, so Magugu can stay aggressively, and Vivi so far away from even taking any gold. I think Cast Age timing could be slightly faster. Vivi now drops the tower though, wants to control it.
Yep, okay, Vivi. Also no fletching yet. So he has not invested into that, but he has taken care of most of the archers. It's always funny, man. Like, you look at this, you force towers. You've taken them off of berries. This should lead to a much faster Castle Age and a much stronger Castle Age, but Vivi somehow got 3 Vil picks out of this, and there goes Margu. Margu says, you know what? Meta these days is to sell that stone and get up faster. And while it annoys me that I face up against that like all day, every day if I ever play Arabia nowadays, as Margu gets 2 Vil picks, I think that's the right play here.
Ooh, that's actually quite nice. 2 Vil picks, and now suddenly is basically even here, because Vivi had some idle TC, Magugu now idling as well, trying to use the market, still some harassment at his woodline, is putting those villagers, spearmen a bit out of position.
Oh yeah, spearman out of position. And also, I don't think Vivi showed early enough that he was making more scouts. Because I thought he just had 1 weak scout, and he came up in with more. And he killed 2 more. Eco KD 5-2. But look at Vivi's resources. He's very far away from clicking up to Castle Age here. This could be problematic. And Margu, I mean, even with Crossbow Bodkin, could harass all the woodlines, I think.
And this is like probably one of the gold spawns where I struggle the most to find a good positioning. Like, where do you position your gold, your mining camp here? If you're
Oh,
Vivi.
you mean for Vivi?
Yeah.
I would have actually placed it on the 3 tiles to the left. Or I would have placed it against the palisade wall. But obviously you don't want your villagers to be closer to where the enemy might come in. So yeah, I disagree with that placement, but he's just going to sell some wood to get gold. That's going to solve his gold problems.
I never know. I never know how to place it with this generation. And I'm actually quite surprised, right? Like, we are having massive tournaments in Age of Empires, and that still no one sat down and actually ran, like, what's the best mining camp for what gold generation. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, there was a point where there was, like, this little, I don't know if it was a PDF, but there was an image being shared around for mills on berries. And this was years ago, like 5 years ago. And I think there's been a little bit of math crunch on maybe gold and wood in general, but I don't think, like, specifically, like, going through every possible gold mine generation, I don't think we've seen specific stuff.
Yeah. Like, at least I didn't see one either. I think I remember that one with the mill. By the way, Magugu plays really aggressively here. 14 crossbows out on the field, got all the upgrades already, and now Siege Workshop at the front. Oh, Vivi needs more towers.
I think Vivi, seeing this, is going to be a little frustrated that, you know, the scouts weren't looking for the Vil. I mean, it's a tough ask, but it feels like with 2 scouts, you could maybe have stopped that villager and delayed this a little bit more. But Vivi's going to fall back. At the very least, he's going to get a castle here for sure. It's just how much damage he takes before the castle's up.
Well, that's tricky. And my chat is saying that between the woodline and the house, you can actually go through. But, well, that's their spot with double tower, so moving in there wouldn't really be worth it.
Yeah, with crossbows, that'd be a bad move. Now, the goal here for Margu is to finish this game fast because he sold his stone, right? But I think Margu is going to have to realize at some point shortly that whether he likes it or not, the Coustier are going to come out. And he's also going for a monastery here, which is not necessarily bad. But here he comes with the siege. And he doesn't see the villagers anymore. And now he sees the castle foundation. And if I were him, I would be really frustrated. Like, oh, no. I know what's coming. What do I do with my siege now?
Well, try to attack the gold, right? Try to find another angle. Maybe you can even kill the starting town center, force your opponent into a siege workshop. Typically, trying to boom this one out. But as you mentioned, stone was sold, so nice defense so far by Vivi.
Yeah, now what you're seeing these days is players are just going to buy 100 stone back. They already sent a lot to gold. I don't know what's going on with the spearman right now for Margu, but Margu was about to lose a villager and had 2 spearmen around, so that feels a little sloppy. Yep, loses the villager. Also could lose some siege to the knight in the middle.
Wow, how much value Vivi is getting with his cavalry. Honestly, like, what was that? 4 scouts? Maybe 5 scouts? Finding 6 villager kills? That's just way too much. This should not happen on this level.
Yeah, a little unfortunate at times for Margu. But yeah, Margu just buys the stone. Says, okay, I'm not going to all-in him now. Good job from Margu. Did kill a villager earlier on the wood line, at least. But yeah, I think you need to start sending some of your monks home. And this is where I would struggle so much because you would prefer to have a defensive monastery now. But it's in the middle of the map. So it feels like monks, as they head home or do whatever they're going to do, are just going to get picked off by the Courtier if you're not babysitting them.
But Courtier couldn't attack at that point, so I think just fully walling, and if you have a crossbow defense, you're somewhat okay. Hindustani is not getting Arbalest, so we will need to see a tech switch at some point, and it feels like those Burgundians now playing the game that they wanted.
Trying to think of how many eco upgrades Vivi has. I think he has gold and stone. Then he's got 2 wood upgrades, 2 farm upgrades, and he's got wheelbarrow. And then you look over at Margugu, and Margu does not have wheel, does not even have a Castle Age wood up or Castle Age farm up, wood upgrade being the biggest thing there. So the camels, they now attack faster. Or do they attack faster, or am I thinking the wrong sip?
Oh, I think that should be Hindustani, yeah.
They do attack faster, yep. They're there, and also conversion for Margu. That's not bad. Margu really needed to get a conversion there, but this is what I meant. New monk comes out, paying attention to the economy, and that monk's going to go down.
Pretty unfortunate timing there. Crossbows getting slaughtered next to it, and those were quite some losses. And Vivi, he just gets some charge damage and goes away. Could be a reasonable thing, and I think those crossbows at the bottom of the map need to run home.
Yeah, I think you need to get some value from them now, and Vivi just impresses me because there's so many players who would just not be able to get away with what he's done here. Against Man-at-Arm Archer, dropping the early tower and everything, losing some of the villagers he lost. Granted, he did kill a lot, but I mean, he killed more villagers than I expected. He's got better eco than I expected. He's got a pretty good position here, but you know, he is behind in villagers, only on 2 TCs. So I'm now curious. We had the conversation in his hideout game, in the 2v2, what he's going to do with that next castle. If he wants the next castle, there goes the 3rd TC.
I think he wants to play the long game, right? He doesn't need to play the all-in. What we kind of felt in the hideout game, that it's just tricky that he needed to push. Otherwise, who was he facing? I think the Max, right? Could have just gotten way too strong. And, well, Vivi's eco is just so much better, right? With all the eco upgrades. So he can just chill it out.
I just can't help but laugh, right? Like, the meta that Margu tried to execute is so technical, and you got all these tiny specific things you need to go for. And you can see it at the top right with how many units he has, right? He's got like a mix of all this different stuff. For Vivi, you see villagers, monks, and Courtier. That's it. He's like, I don't need anything else. I'm not thinking about anything else, and hopefully I won't need anything else. This is my plan.
Yeah, and I don't think he needs anything else unless he faces like massive amount of Halberdiers at one point. Then he needs to squeeze in skirms, but I think he can take fights before that and maybe decimate the numbers quite nicely already.
An opportunity for Margu to hop out of the monastery with the 1 monk that is in there. Maybe get a conversion here. I'm a little surprised. Vivi's going to run up the hill. Margu probably just focus on other things. Does have the camels and has the crossbows. I think this, all things considered, is going to be a decent fight for Margu. At least the best fight that Margu could have asked for, being on top of the hill.
If only he used that monk as well, could have gotten another conversion, plus the 2 spearmen didn't join the party. Could have maybe taken some of that charge damage. Crossbows now microing away. This should be good for Margu now. I think Vivi should disengage.
I think this is a classic, I'm going to take the fight because I want to drop a castle somewhere fight. But I could be wrong. I mean, I was thinking he might run out to the top of the hill. Not sure he can do that now. I'm going to assume that Margugu's forgotten that there's a monk in that monastery and thinks it's just the relic.
Well,
which has happened to the best of us.
Yeah. Certainly. And, well, it's 3 TCs versus 3 TCs. Now the castle in the center here. But honestly, like, Vivi, you don't have enough control Oh, that hill.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If he had like a couple monks with him, okay, he does have some monks with him. Maybe this could work.
Villagers.
But Margu is going to kill these villagers. And could kill the monks as well with the crossbows. Again, potential for Margu to clear this.
But this gets tricky now. Conversions against the camel as well. Oh, Corsair's are clearing this one up. Oh god. Are there a broken unit or what?
I think way too many people need to be talking about how cheap they are behind the Burgundian Eco, which are also cheaper unique techs. We've been seeing it in team games a lot. 1v1s, Vivi's the only one to do it, but there's a reason why. This is against camels that have extra attack. Camels were supposed to do a bit more there. Granted, there were a lot of upgrades missing. There's no bloodlines. I don't even think forging was in during that fight. But it seems to me like Vivi's going to get the castle up, and that'll mean Vivi will at least get the 3rd relic, which is in that monastery, and then also should get the 4th relic, which is on the left side. He's now going for crop rotation.
Okay, he wants to play the long game, and that castle position is just so good for him. Another monk should die quite easily here. And yeah, Maguga is still 11 villages ahead, but the upgrades on the camels were just so underwhelming as well. As you said, like forging, not sure if we had it in the game, but no armor, not even bloodlines.
I think at this point, Vivi's going to all in. He's got 2 castles. He's got great eco. You don't need to go to Imp to have Imperial Age eco with this Civ. So he sees his opponents on the back foot, and he's going to continue with these Coustiers. He's going to drop another castle that's going to be on the gold. But now he's denying the gold can take the gold from the opponent. And he'll have 3 production buildings of the unit that he wants to make, whereas Margu actually has 3 as well, but it's 3 stables, which should be easier to mass out of. But Margu seems a little torn. I think Margu's saving resources for Imp, thinking it's going to be a faster Imp, but I don't think Vivi's going to do that. I think Vivi's going to go for the kill here.
Oh, not unlikely, right? Oh, look at that. Herbal Medicine wants to heal up after the engagement. Takes this one.
Yeah, and the first attack is always so strong with Coustier. That's the thing. The first attack is huge, and the rest is still decent. 115 HP for this unit. And the monks are there, and yeah, this is where Margu is on the way to Imperial Age. I can understand the thinking. If someone forward castles you, you're always worried they're going to go up and go for trebs. But it's actually the exact opposite here, and I think Vivi's going to walk forward and build another castle here shortly. Would love to see a castle between the stone and the gold that Margugu has in the front.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, we have enough stone now, and Vivi is not known to be like super safe defensive castles. It's dropping the gold from the villagers, and this might be the get out of my game castle. No, goes more safe, controls another stone spot for himself.
Yeah, I guess he just hasn't sent any units over to the gold on the right. But if he gets this castle up, and he hits that gold on the right, it feels like Margugu will struggle. He can't afford that many more camels, and Margu's going to drop a castle right next to this. Wow.
Camels somewhat holding, population dead even, and soon we will have 1 player in Imp versus 1 in Castle Age. And maybe we are a bit thinking too much of like, okay, Vivi is such a beast and he won so many games, but Magugu putting himself in a spot where he could make a hold happen.
I could be wrong, but I feel like ever since the armor and forging and bloodlines was in for the camels, which was 3 upgrades he didn't have before, the camels have been holding a lot better. Vivi did run underneath TCs a lot, and Vivi's going to continue to go all in Castle Age. He's making petards out of the forward castle. He's going to try and make rams out of the siege workshop as well.
That's interesting, yeah, and those traps won't be safe if Magugu even gets some out here. Gold income won't be that pretty for him. Lots of villagers in that castle. I would love to see them back on gold. He's sending them now.
Keep in mind, Margu has 0 relics. The 5th one is now on the left corner. There's a scout waiting for Margu, but that doesn't mean Margu will take it. But Margu also, it's going to take 2 minutes to get heavy camel, and there's only 11 of them. Whereas Vivi is going to have more Coustier, and is going to have rams, and is going to have petards. It very much feels like Margugu could lose his castle here.
Mm-hmm. And just think about, like, 4 petards already getting the castle below half HP, and it's already lost close to 300 HP. The rams, I think this castle will go down before it can produce a second trap.
Yeah. Definitely. And will the first trap be protected is the issue. Here goes Vivi. I like how he sends the units in first, because when he ejects the petards, he doesn't want them focused. Yep, and that castle's gonna be gone. Great move to go for the petard. Some of them are blocked off now, as are the rams actually. There's just so many units for Vivi here.
Yeah, and all the petards actually connected. All 4 got to the castle. Castle down to 1.8k HP. And trying to run away with the camels here. 15 seconds away from the heavy camel upgrade. Then we would think Magugu wants to engage. But so much idle time and so many villager losses before that.
Yeah, and Vivi's just like, if I take this castle out, he can never push my castles. And even if he is heavy camo, I will have the possibility of making more units. And you just can't make camels without gold if you're Margu. You can't make trebs without castles. And while this castle isn't down yet, I still don't see how it does anything here nearly. And now we're seeing some upgrades come in that'll affect the castles, and camels are not so good underneath castle fire.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, no real PS armor, and well, on the way to Imperial Age is Mr. Vivi as well, and he's just slaughtering those villagers next to it. Now a solid close to 50 population lead. The castle is falling, and with that, the hope of clearing up the castles of Vivi.
Just Vivi things, man. Like, Margu, I felt had a really solid opening, apart from losing those villagers. Probably didn't expect to lose those villagers. Maybe didn't expect scouts. You saw a very defensive Vivi. Didn't expect there to be a counterattack. And Vivi, who hadn't scouted his opponent until the 11th minute in this game, which is when he found the villagers, wins the game with Burgundians for WWP. Very solid result there for him.
Poof. Pretty damn good for sure. And yeah, where did Magugu go wrong? Probably losing too many villages against the early 4 scouts, right? Just wall in your villages. You had some spearmen at home. With like 5 villagers more. Castle ages earlier. The mangonel might pressure the castle a bit more. You can buy your stone back earlier. You can get to the extra town centers. Then your imp is earlier. I think that's probably what cost him the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Margu is almost a bit too meta of a player, where if the game turns into something other than man-at-arm archers or defensive archers, he can struggle. And a lot of players, they would expect the scouts from Vivi. A lot of players would look for that. Or a lot of players would just small wall their woodline, you know? The woodline could have been small walled, which is what he would probably do if his opponent was going man-at-arms. He just didn't have that in his brain when Vivi was going scouts, and I think he was a little stubborn with it. At one point, he lost a couple villagers, but then, you know, it only was 3, and I think he ended up killing 3 eventually. Still wasn't doing a good job protecting his villagers there. And then, what can you say about Vivi, who ends the game on the way to Imp with 13 more Coustier and Q, 4 relics. I mean, the dude is just insane with Burgundians if he's given the time, and he was given the time. So, GG to Vivi.
Yeah, and you have to think someone like Dogao, for example, would have had all the woodlines walled, had the spearman next to berries and his gold, and then the scouts can't get that damage, and then your transition is just so much smoother.
Also, if you know your opponent's on stone, is the Siege Workshop helpful there? I don't think so. Like, you know he's probably going to get to his unique unit. Siege is not going to deny the castle in most cases because there's towers to block it off and it can be placed safely. So maybe instead you go for a defensive monastery, you start to collect some relics, and then you brace yourself to get some monks to convert the unique units, and then maybe you buy the stone back and get the town centers up a little bit faster or something. I don't know. But I had Vivi. I've seen enough games. Like, there was this amazing game maybe a month ago where he picked Burgundians, and he was up against Daniel, of all people, who was Ethiopians. And Vivi just makes it happen against his archer meta. I don't know how he does it. I would die so hard. So, impressive. I'm sure Margu is not going to be too happy with that one.
Okay, I organized the lineups behind this one. It will be Regicide Fortress 2v2, and it will be the Dream Team that won against AM yesterday evening, Anatov and Clement against Paladin and Vivi.
Ooh, on Regicide Fortress. And it's the same Civ rules, right? So they could pick civilizations that have not been played yet, and then they have to, over the course of the whole series, play with the new expansion civilizations once. So I assume it's going to be Chinese-Spanish because they won with Chinese-Spanish yesterday.
Yeah, just feels so good. Or do we need to see Spanish somewhere else? If we had something like Hideout 4v4, Or Regicide Fortress 4v4? No, that's not even an option. Yeah. So I think you can throw those in. Chinese also not needed on the other maps. So Chinese, Spanish feels very reasonable. Maybe Cumans.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see something different than Chinese Spanish. I mean, maybe there's a world where Chinese Spanish is so expected you can go for some type of weird counter. The thought I had
What's the
yesterday was
counter?
Chinese Vietnamese. Yeah, exactly. Like
And
I
Vietnamese
kind of
goes
like the idea of
elephants?
Rats and Archers Chukonu, but then
Against Paladins?
exactly, then you lack Paladin. And then it's like, okay, well, if you don't go Spanish, what other Paladin civ are you going to go for that can compete? And I don't really think there is one that competes with how Spanish operate on Regicide Fortress.
It just feels so strong and so tough to punish. Even Vietnamese aren't that crazy good against Chinese, I feel. Right? Because if you're on the other side, you're probably behind the other civ.
Yep. Well, the idea of going Vietnamese is that I feel like it's if you get to like 60 Rats and Archers, it's better than 60 Chukonu. But Chinese just operate so well with the cheaper text and starting with more villagers, and it just feels like you're just giving up a massive lead if you don't pick Chinese. So
yeah, Chinese is so much of a must. The only like question that we could have is thinking about the other civ. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who'd you say is playing again? You said it's going to be
Clement Anotov.
Okay.
Against Paladin and Vivi.
And Vivi. Okay, gotcha. If it was Lix, he would probably like go for some weird civ. I had no idea what he was thinking in the Resurgence set I played against him because maybe he didn't know how the draft worked, but he gave me Spanish.
And you had Regicide Fortress as a map?
Yeah, Regicide Fortress was one of the maps.
Okay,
I think it was his map, and then you draft civs for the enemy, and he gave me Spanish. So I don't know if his outlook on Regicide Fortress is really
What did he have
correct.
to play?
Gots.
Oh, that's not a good matchup for him.
Yeah, and I almost lost my king to his castle in that game too. It's like, you know how you scout the king, scout the map with the king, and sometimes you'll set waypoints? Well, I set waypoints in what was a very open area at the time I set the waypoints, in like the north of the map, and he had walled it off with houses. So my king tried to go behind those houses and ran by his walls. Would have been very embarrassing. I like Vivi, the Vivi pick here though. I think Vivi has shown that he's really good on boomy maps. I think I would probably give Vivi Spanish here personally.
Vivi Spanish, Paladin Chinese makes lots of sense. Yeah.
It's just so funny though, because every time we cast Paladin, he never has a freaking Paladin civ. He had Hindustanis yesterday.
Well. Yeah.
It makes more sense for him not to have Spanish here, at least, with what we know of the players.
Okay, I need to do some paint work here behind the scenes. People got triggered. I got 5-0 confused with 0-5.
Oh, there's a pretty big difference there.
Actually, it somewhat is, and on my stream, that's kind of unacceptable. And
yeah, sure.
I respect my people for that. And
so I'll tell you, Nilly, spoil a new series I'm starting.
Ooh.
And I just thought of an idea, and I'm gonna write this down after I say this. So, I'm starting a new series called AW2 Stats That Don't Matter.
Ooh.
And
okay, I thought you're starting like a Netflix series. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And AW2 Stats That Don't Matter. And so the next thing on my list for AW2 Stats That Don't Matter is what percentage of the time does Paladin play with a Paladin civ?
I like that one.
Interesting statistics that might be fun to listen to that really have no effect on anything. And there's a lot of that stuff with Age of Empires too, so...
Ooh, that's something we could think of. Like, lots of people have, like, fitting names there, right?
I don't think there's anyone named Arbalest. Or
that's true.
Knight. Or There's a Dark Knight player
Dark
who I
Knight.
think is
Yeah.
I think he's like Argentinian or something.
I thought Mexican.
Yeah, that's probably it actually.
VN Dark Knight?
There's VN Dark. I don't actually see him on the ladder right now. But yes, so anyways, I'm sure people will give a lot of good ideas once I actually start that. We have the first one coming out this week, I think.
Okay, interesting. Let me think what else. Like, how many games did the Max not have teal in the last 2 years?
Well, I don't want to spoil ideas, but colors and win rates and things like that are definitely going to be talked about. So
Yeah. Riley
like
Knight.
an easy one is like win rate of the Viper when he doesn't have yellow.
Oh, okay.
Like that would be an interesting one, right?
Teddo's win rate when he's facing match point.
Oh god. The likelihood of success when you make long swords with Huns.
Now we're getting into flame zone. Oh.
It's crazy how long ago that was, but also how recent that feels in my mind.
And how easy it is to bring up.
Like that.
No.
Yeah, it's just so easy to bring up.
So I'm not really sure. Like, the game is full of 7 people now. Not really sure why we're not really starting. Feels like Vivi still is in the wrong team.
Well, I had to laugh that in the Discord. When was it? I think it was Monday. You said added new rule. Players are asked to start games with as little delay as possible.
Yeah. Well, they were
I
actively...
like how that was like, it's a rule, but you're asking them.
Actually, like, I already gave minus 10% once of the prize pool.
Oh, really? Yeah, due to delays.
And this one is getting pretty long as well. I don't really know who the problem maker is, though.
This is literally the easiest thing ever because we know what civs are going to pick. Like, there should be nothing but Spanish versus Chinese for both anyways, so.
Well, I think humans are still an option, honestly.
And I think WWP would be the team to consider doing that.
Maybe also Civ for Lowland, though. Yeah. I think now they kicked everyone, and I think they're starting. Yep. Okay, so 2 minutes to go.
Okay, good stuff. All he had to do was threaten the banhammer. Easy.
Oh boy, were we wrong, Tristan.
Oh, wait.
What? I don't understand those civs.
Mayans, Cumans?
What?
Mayans is the biggest surprise for me. Like, this just reminds me of the fact that Paladin's been playing the game forever because Mayans used to be one of the best Regicide Fortress civs, but we do not see that much nowadays.
I think this is really bad. Like, do we want to pick Chinese somewhere else? Do we want to have them Atacama?
No.
They are good, but Britain's Mayans should be better. Enemy Archipelago, I don't think Chinese are that hot. Lowland, I don't think we want Chinese. This feels like a mistake.
I just have to disagree in every way, shape, or form. Like you said, the only way you could justify not going Spanish Chinese or not at least not having like one of those civs is if you thought you were going to play them elsewhere. And it doesn't. I'm in agreement. It doesn't seem like those civs would necessarily be a must-have elsewhere. If anything, you could say that Mayans might be more preferred on other maps than Regicide Fortress.
Yeah. I think they're the top-tier flanks for Atacama. What do you play instead? Britons, Ethiopians, then. Yeah.
I bet you right now, Margu is just like kicking himself. He's like, I should have won game 1 because game 2, look at these civs. Well, I'd love to be proven wrong, and it is a bit sad that before we even see the game, we feel that way. But Regicide Fortress is definitely like, there's a much shorter list of civilizations that can have high levels of success on this map due to the nature of the start. Which is why, and it's also been around a long time, so we we've got pretty defined opinions on the matter, I guess.
And it's not like Mayans are bad, right? They're clearly top 10 civ on Red Side Fortress. Still an extra villager, still easy to get to plumed archers. It just feels like it's so obvious that Chinese are slightly stronger.
All right, so we have Anatov playing as the Spanish. And then we've got Clement playing as the Chinese. As you said, Nilly, interesting civs. Vivi here in the blues playing as the Cumans or Cumans. Then the green, we've got Paladin playing as the Mayans. Used to be amazing for Edgeside Fortress. We'll see what happens in this one. I'm going to make a prediction here, Nilly. You ready?
Yeah.
I think that Vivi is going to try and go mini 2TC boom into a couple kip checks for map control, and then fast imp with a forward castle to go Krebs and kill the Chinese player. He's going to struggle with that because there will be Chukunu for map control, and his initial castle is going to be further back than he wants. He's going to continue to try. He's going to continue to try it, and then he's going to get out boomed, and then he's going to get pushed back, and then he's going to die as he's trying to transition into Paladin later. That's my very specific prediction in the north. I hope I'm wrong.
Vivi does have 2 good hills to take if he goes for that strategy.
Yeah, it's true. True. Yeah, and I think, like, on the other side, the plumed archers could also go for map control, and you're not spending food and you're not spending golds to do so like you would have to do with conquistadors for Anatov. But plumed archers also, I think, need to mass a bit more. They don't pack as much of a punch in the early stages, in the lower numbers.
Yeah, potentially. By the way, it feels weird. Like 13 villager up? Like, with how many builds
That's
are you
really
building
fast.
your town center? And, like, how much
Yeah.
wood is he having? Okay, he still has the full wood, so he can build the town center. But that's, like, reaching fuel age at 325. It's pretty
crazy.
damn early, yeah.
I mean, okay, so the other times I've seen this is I have seen 15 pop up. I think it's 15 villagers or 15 pop, I forget. Obviously, there's a scout. So yeah, this is much faster than I've seen, and maybe this is going to give Vivi a bigger lead if Vivi is able to keep the villas producing from these 2 TCs after going up this quickly.
Yeah, obviously will be interesting to see. It feels a bit too early, but I think it has to be fine as well. Now, goes for the boar into the town center without loom. This is actually tricky for Vivi. That will be quite some work he has to do.
Yeah, and not pulling the villagers off the other. Okay, pulling it off the TC now. You gotta think Vivi will get this done, but mistakes could happen here. Oh, jeez. Okay, never mind. We're fine.
We're fine. 4 and 11
So,
HP, not even close.
Chinese starting with additional villagers, having cheaper techs. Also, Chukunu is a pretty solid, unique unit, especially against what I think the Cumans can make. Very beneficial against Paladins, as we saw yesterday. Also solid against what would probably be kip checks if we see unique unit play from Vivi. Keeping an eye on his TCs right now, Nilly. And it is at the limit, but he is keeping them producing right now.
Is there a chance that we just play late game? Paladins plus plumes and just wait till SO might win us the game?
The only argument I have against going late game is just the fact that the enemy has Spanish. Right? Like, Spanish trade is not something you want to face up against in the late game. But you are correct that Spanish do not get Siege Onager, and that would be the same for Chinese. But I think the initial plan still is probably to take advantage of this mini boom. And the reason I mentioned that specific strategy for Vivi is because Vivi tried it in... I don't know if it was Return of the Clans or what, but he did the exact same thing. He went 2 TC boom, he added kip checks, he went forward with the castle. So that's what I'm expecting from him, but I mean, you could go 2 TCs into a 3rd and a 4th TC in Imp and just not make anything against the Chukunu from the opponent.
Yeah. I also think like early traps can be quite surprising and can pressure the Chinese player quite a bit. I'm a bit shocked that Clement just lost his scout there and even tried to micro with way lower HP.
Ooh.
I was a bit shocked.
Yeah, that is there's 9 HP on Vivi's scout.
It was
Looks
not
like
even
Paladin's
close.
going to lose his Eagle. This is less surprising, though, because the Eagle is slower than the Scout at this stage.
Yeah, Cumin speed, but Cumin speed is only 10% faster. You can still run away with like,
Yeah, like
12
you should have
HP.
noticed at one point there, yeah. But I like it from Vivi. Vivi's going to heal up his Scout, which is important. And Vivi's sitting at 33 villagers. Honestly, man, Vivi's just something else with this Civ, Burgundians. Any boom civilization, he's a beast.
He's already
But
expanding and tries to wall off the area. Remember, though, he can't stonewall.
True.
So is this for market?
You called it.
Oh, yeah.
Market Blacksmith will be built out there, kind of easing his way into those buildings, as opposed to building it with 4 villagers or 3 villagers in his base. I don't mind this, and maybe this is an indicator that he does want to take this late game, but we have a lot of game yet left to tell us what we'll see.
Remember, every single game counts here. So for Baguettes, they want to keep themselves in it. And if they win the whole set 4-1, they will actually take fourth place. If they 3-2, they will split fourth place together with WWP. WWP still dreaming of something like third place even.
I think what's important here for Clement, and this I think is regardless of what Vivi ends up doing later, is you boom for now, obviously, and you do not make Chukunu. But once you're at about like 50-ish vills, that's where you've got to start making some Chukunu and patrolling those hills in the front. Because that's the type of push that Vivi could kill you with. If he gets that next castle up, and we'll see if Vivi wants to go for it, obviously, but a faster Imperial Age with a little bit of Kip check control into a lot of trebs could decimate the Chinese, because look at the stones. The stones are forward. If those trebs start coming out around the time you're making your second and third castle and you're on your way to the Imperial Age, you could just lose all your hard work, and then you can't make Chukunu.
Yep, makes lots of sense. I think you don't want to give up too much area. I think this is an earlier up timing towards Castle Age than the early in play, though. I think Vivi will add another TC in Castle Age here.
Yeah, my timings are all out of whack because, you think about 18 minutes versus 1930 and things like that when you're talking up times in Arabia, but obviously Regicide Fortress is different. But good kill there for Anatov, kills the Scout for Vivi. And he's going to hope to find some damage here. It feels possible, for sure, because these villagers don't have Loom, but Vivi should be able to relocate.
Something we could also see is Vivi reaches Castle Age and starts to sling. Because his economy will be so good.
Oh!
You are allowed to sling a player that is in the same age or lower than yours.
I really like that, but I think if you were receiving sling, wouldn't you be on double castle around this time if you're Paladin?
Certainly has a very late 30s. Heavily went for plumed archers.
Yeah.
And we have lots of resources in the bank, but so much wood as well. So I think we are... Actually, he's not collecting stone.
Yeah, I think if he was collecting stone for another castle at this stage, that would be Paladin, then I think he would receive Sling, but it looks like Vivi's just going to boom.
Maybe it's
Vivi
for
just
Eagles.
bought stone.
Vivi bought stone. Okay. 30C there.
We had a discussion earlier about the difference between plumes and conchs and how plumed archers do not cost food, but you really do need to mass them here. Plumes are going to get better as the game goes on because it's a cheaper unit. They're affected by ballistics. They get more range. The conchs never will get that. But there's a massive HP difference here between each individual unit. And actually, there's not a massive HP difference. It's 50 HP versus 55 HP, but look at the damage output. My goodness.
Well, plumes are so much cheaper as well and easier to micro, but oh boy, conchs, they have some punch in them.
Yeah, and the Spanish building faster. You've seen those town centers come up faster for Anatov, so his vill count is actually on par, if not ahead. And he's done a really good job with these conchs here. I like how many he's made. Again, holding that map control I think is important. And he's adding the third TC, so he's a little late to that. But man, does his eco look good. Both of the Baguette players went for their wood and farm upgrade in Castle Age.
Oh, I think it makes lots of sense, right? You're going to farm massively, so we sometimes see people even after going through their first 5 farms not building another farm till they have the second farm upgrade.
Vivi, 63 villagers. It is 61 for Clement. This would be the time where if you're concerned about it coming forward, you could maybe make some of those Chukunu. But he didn't do that yesterday at this stage when he wrecked Hera. I mean, he and Anatov ended the day with a bang yesterday. That was really cool. So he's not doing that now either. And maybe he's just asking Anatov to check. Because it doesn't look like these plumed archers... Well, actually, the plumed archers could do something. He's got to really keep a lookout here. But it looks like he expects it because he's getting loom already.
Yeah, that's pretty clever. Also gets town watch for himself, so he knows, okay, I lost sight of those plumed archers. Don't want to lose the villagers on the wood line. Other resources are relatively safe. And I like this team play, because as you described earlier, the timing for the extra castle would have been roughly around now.
Yep. I kind of laughed, looked at Vivi's base. You can see where the king went. But he had one kip check, and the kip check's like, no, my king, come back. It just completely missed a villager dying on the wood line for Anatov, because I looked at that, but, you know, the important things have been pointed out.
Agreed. On the way to Imperial Age.
Okay, so Imperial Age coming in. It is going to be Chukunu, you would imagine. We have a lot more villagers on stone for Clement. Hasn't produced any Chukunu yet, which has me a little surprised. But we're still thinking back to the options. Remember that if Paladin and Vivi lose this, they could have gone Chinese and Spanish. But they went for Cumans, and they went for Mayans, and that is a lot of plumed archers. But it doesn't look like the Mayan player really has the best food eco. We've got 14 on food only for Paladin.
This honestly looks...
to have more farms.
Yeah, this looks really underwhelming. Now heavily goes onto stone as well. I honestly don't understand this.
Oh my god. Okay, gates open. Vivi was leaving, I guess, to go mine gold on the front, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyways. And as the villagers were running back in, Anatov ran in, and he's standing underneath the gate. Unfortunate for Vivi in many ways, but you make your own luck, and well played Anatov, as Clement's just going to castle on the front.
I think you want to keep like one conch in there, and the rest should be going for some raids. Try to find some villager kills easily. And yeah, he selected some, keeps 2 in there. 8 are going for the raid, and that will be some dead villagers for Vivi.
Even if this doesn't happen, though, don't you just get completely stomped in early imp against Treb Chukunu?
I think so.
Like, this brings us back to our disappointment earlier, but maybe if the plumed archers were here a little faster. But Anatov has a better eco than Paladin does. He's probably going to imp before Paladin does. And then Clement's able to go Chukunu Treb and push Vivi back, as Vivi's pretty clearly here going to try and go Cavalier, as he's going to be an imp in a second and is out of the stables.
Chukunu number's not that scary though. We're at 6 right now, so plumed archers can defend it for now, but really don't want to go next to the castle. Next castle being dropped. Clement really feels like he has the better boom than Vivi.
I would like to see 2 Trebs. Like, back castle goes for conscription. Actually, he's making Treb from that one. I'm not sure I like that, but it should make it there. But 2 Trebs, and then focus the rest on Chukunu. Because the risk is, if you don't have enough Chukunu to defend your Trebs, then Vivi could always dive. But 2 castles is a big ask, obviously.
Yeah, also we will obviously get all the upgrades for said castles. Plumed archers are now coming in, trying to focus a bit on the villagers. Shouldn't really die though, and I'm not sure if the castle shouldn't switch focus onto the plumes.
Yep, looks like it is doing so now. Clement happy to back up, realizes the desperation of his opponent. Paladin also trying to raid with plumed archers in the back, but Anatov notices that, so Anatov will clear that up. Vivi's going to start losing town centers, which might not feel like it's the biggest deal, but he will need something to protect his villagers, and there's a lot of gold next to these 2 castles here.
And 40C now for Paladin. I think his boom was simply weird. Like second
Very
castle now, but that's not really what you want. His imp timing is not competitive on this level.
Nope, not good. I mean, like I said, 14 farms versus 35 when we were comparing him to Anatov. And granted, you do typically have a little bit more on food with Spanish, but not that much more. And again, it's just, come on, Anatov looking very good. This is what you would expect from them after getting a win against Aftermath of all teams yesterday. Vivi's getting Paladin. Right now, he doesn't have a single Cavalier. He doesn't have a single Cavalier yet. He's getting Paladin.
Yeah, 4 in the queue now. Plumed Archers going next to the castle again. Gate falls at the front. And Clément, he will just kill the traps. He doesn't need to kill anything more.
Also, castle denied for Paladin by the Conks. For temporarily, anyways. So things are just looking worse for Paladin. This has been getting progressively worse over the last couple minutes here. This is surely near over, I think. Vivi's going to have to do something miraculous with Paladin. He's still 90 seconds away from Paladin. He needs Paladin, but he needs Paladin as in the units and his teammate. He needs a lot of Paladin.
Neither is delivering right now, sadly. Traps might be taking down that castle. Some of their friends are falling. Chogunu dealing with those Cavaliers before they become traps. And that's just nice positioning. Castle goes down. That's nice. And oh, Ballistics was missing.
Yeah, Ballistics was missing. What a life you must be living, though, if you're Anatov right now, because you could just safely get into Paladin. I mean, there's a bit of pressure, right? Because Clément is going to be on his own here. But I think as long as the future castles for Clément go at home and not in the front, just so he doesn't potentially lose more here, I think he's going to be satisfied. And Paladin's in. Doesn't have a lead Chukunu. I don't think he has rocketry either. That's a lot of Paladins for Vivi. This is their time.
Yeah, and that's a lot of traps, right? Typically you want to have like 2-3 monks behind this one to decimate those small Paladin numbers. 1 apparently is enough.
All right, gets a conversion. Still is going to be making Chukunu. If you look at his queue at this forward castle, you can tell he's a little stressed. He's queued up like 6 Chukunu, then conscription, then more Chukunu.
Oh yeah, look at that. Elite Chukunu or rocketry is in there. Like at the 8th upgrade.
Yeah,
not enough on
the
stone.
One in the back. But still, he's fine, and he's got support. And then Paladin is, what, 13 plumed archers?
Clément is 1.2k stone? Why is he not building a castle?
I think he's a little focused at the moment.
A little focused, okay.
Remember, he peaked. And there's going to be that castle. I think his peak is like 2k1. He doesn't quite have the heights of some of the other players in the team.
Clément?
Man, does he look good in Regicide Fortress. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe
he is
peaked at like 2k2.
2 to 89 last time I checked.
Really? Dang,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
I haven't seen him around in months. That's awesome.
We can look that one up after the game as well. Or I can do that during this one because now I'm really curious. 2 to 31 right now. Peaked at highest rating 2 to 31. Okay.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, very solid. So it's not like there's a big gap between him. I mean, Anatov doesn't really focus on 1v1s much. Anyway, so hasn't really proven himself there when he maybe could. Yeah, this seems really over. Paladin's about to be in for Anatov. Anatov is not being raided by Chukunu, not being trebbed down. Paladin has had a shocker of a game here. Just now hitting Imp is really poor, and this is on top of some of the choices, I think, with the civilizations.
Yeah. Might have been lost on the drawing board. Because, like, we were shocked. We were doing the caster thing, going into the matchup, right? And going like, okay, what civilizations could we see? What could be the counter to Spanish and Chinese, which we feel are clearly the best 2 civilizations in this one. And we couldn't come up with a good counter strategy. And Mayans, Cumans, not really delivering.
So here's a question. Where's Yo at this time, right? Like, I feel like if it was GamerLegion and Doubt and Slam were like, we're going to play Mayans, Cumans, that someone would speak up there and say, like, yeah, let's not do that. You know, like, I'm not sure how the dynamic is there. You know, maybe it's not something that he interferes with. Maybe just not for this situation. I don't know, but...
Yo is also known to go for some weird civilization picks, we have to say,
that's true.
though. So I can't even rule out that it might have been his idea.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's a fair point. And as well, it's like the other. I think half of it is they have to go, Paladin, what are you comfortable playing? This is not a guy who plays a ton of tournaments these days. So he's like, what are you comfortable playing? Guys played the game for a decade, played a bunch of Mayan games with Regicide Fortress, I'm sure. So he's like, I'll just go Mayans because this is what I know. And that it could also fall in line with Vivi too. With Vivi, Or maybe didn't feel as comfortable playing Chinese or something. I don't know. But certainly this is really bad. The army value is way higher for the Baguettes. And they're just going to continue to roll into Vivi's base. Vivi's king is safe, which is kind of sad for the entertainment value here. It is over in his ally's base. But not sure that'll matter too much, because I think they might call it before the kings are in jeopardy.
Feels like it. And Clément with another pretty good performance here. Kong still in pretty high numbers. Pretty surprising to me. Trade setup as late as yesterday, right? Where we felt AM was a bit earlier. But obviously Baguettes are pushing in so heavily that it won't matter that much this game.
Yep. Wow, do you see the plumed archers for Paladin running into the trade? You see the little opening there between the wood line? He's about to run back through it. It's in Anatov's base.
Yeah. Well,
can you imagine if that type of hole lost you a game in a closer contest? That would be so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. But trade wasn't set up for now, and well, also enough paladins. So, but yeah, obviously later scenario could have been pretty ugly. We also see like paladin building more and more castles there. Holy moly! So we'll be up to 6 castles pretty soon. But plumed archers isn't the killer unit in this game.
Man, Clément has something right with his Chinese builds. This is another game where he's got 80, and he's got 40 more in the queue. Like, I think I would probably be at 120 villagers, because that's just my instinct. 120, 130 villagers, then you add Chukunu, then you mix in trade into that. But he's like, nope, 100 villagers is fine for me. He doesn't have that much on food, you know. He gets all the upgrades in, and then he just stops putting villagers on food, and GG's called. Dominant performance from the Baguettes.
Yeah, Paladin still in there. I think I would have liked to see maybe some raid, take all the paladins, take all the plumes, try to find the king kill.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously in a normal way they couldn't do anything. Well, those Kongs got in, and Paladin with a really weird opening there. So many plumes, third town center was really late. Lots of idle time in the TCs I would assume as well, but now tough to track for us. Maybe I even want to go back and go like at the 14-minute mark. And want to check like idle town center.
I'm not even sure. I'm gonna look now myself. Idle TC. So I see 8 seconds for Paladin at 14 minutes.
Yeah, I jumped to.
Oh wow.
15:30. It's 2:20.
Yeah, and then if you go to 17:23, he's at 5.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me is, and obviously this is probably why he has idle TC. At 17 minutes, he's got 9 farms.
Yeah.
And he still hasn't finished berries. So like he's got, I think I recall seeing he had 500 wood at one point. And he had 500 wood, and he wasn't seeding farms because he was microing plumes. So maybe it was just a bit too much for him. He did go for really early ballistics, Nilly. So that probably hurt him. He went for early ballistics. He's 47 vills getting ballistics on top of making all the plumes. So he put his wood into the universities and the ballistics upgrade. So that's probably half the issue.
And that, like, Spanish is really the civilization that should always be lowest in villager count. And they were actually ahead of Mayans.
Yeah, and guess what you don't need to get ballistics for that is really strong and has a trade bonus and paladin. Spanish.
The civilization I wanted to see.
You just put all your wood into your farms, just like Anatov did on the other side. But that is a classic situation, Nilly, that I think might only happen in Age of Empires 2 in RTS games. I don't know other RTS games that well, but like Paladin, for those that don't know, I don't know if he's still a massive figure in the Chinese community.
Yeah.
But yeah, massive figure in the Chinese community, caster, player, team captain at one point for all their teams. Like, dude's just been around forever, and Mayans have been around forever, so I think he was just like, this is what I know, because I don't play Regicide Fortress a lot, and it doesn't suit 2022 all that well.
Yeah, basically, like, after China beating Tyrant in China in front of the crowd, they all became, like, legends till they die. So,
yeah,
like, Paladin is still heavily hyped, but obviously, like, multiple kids, wife, isn't putting in the hours compared to someone like Clément and Anatov that are grinding hard.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a lot of the, like, Anatov is just a really special player because he's also primarily grinding team games, right? Does not play a lot of 1v1s.
Yeah.
I think he peaked at 2K in 1v1s, but like he's playing way better than a 2K when you look at his performance. Actually, it looks like he must have played a bit recently, 2150. But that's his peak.
But
So,
he's
like,
way
he
better. He's
clearly
way better. I said, like, I think a year ago, I said if this guy focused on 1v1, he would be 2.4k. A year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
2K4? See, okay, so here's where...
1 year ago, I said Anatov is the best player that you've never heard of before.
Okay, that's a really good clickbaity sentence right there. I feel like, okay, so here's the thing about really good team game players. I understand that a lot of them don't play 1v1s, but there's a type of transition that you don't have to go for in team games. Like, you stick to a role and you do it well, and that's very different from 1v1s. So I'm hesitant to look at Anatov and say that he could be 2K4 because of that, right? There's so many, like, tiny little things that you've got to do. But I'd love to see him attempt it, you know? I would love to see him attempt it and just, like, spend a month, play 1v1s, see where you go, you know? All right, so Atacama next, 3v3. Reminding myself of the rules. Everyone can play this, right? Or is that...
Everyone who didn't play the 1v1.
The 1v1. Gotcha.
So Vivi won't be allowed to play the 3v3 Atacama. Neither is Magugu.
Okay. So I think that works out fairly well for the Baguettes. But Margugu, obviously a big talent that we'll have wanted to see in here. But we just saw Anatov do well. We just saw Clement do well. And then you've got Sato waiting. So that would be my guess. But we also could see Saleh play, their other player in their squad.
Right now, it's Yo and Lux being sent to the front together with Paladin. So
Nice.
Bad Koala won't have his showing. And it will be Anatov, Sitso, and I would think Slay could make lots of sense, yeah.
Someone just said, I don't like 1v1s because if I lose, I can't blame it on my teammates.
Yeah.
That's probably Anatov's logic too. He's like, I can't blame losses on Sato if I play 1v1s.
That's the reason why I don't play chess, right? Because there's no one to blame. In Age of Empires, you at least can blame the Civ, the map, something was buggy. But chess, it's like, you are just dumber.
That's funny. My dad really wanted me to be into chess growing up. Like, he really tried. And I was just one of those kids that I just went so far against everything. Like, I wasn't a rebel. I wasn't not trying to paint that picture myself. But, anytime my parents would try and, like, get me to do something, I didn't want to do what my parents wanted me to do. And I wish I would have gotten into chess when I was younger. Because now, like, I'll watch it, I can appreciate it a little bit. But it just feels like you need, just like Age of Empires, so many games to understand moves and get a feel for it. And it's a little overwhelming for me. Also, it's a little... There's no, like, big hype moments for me. Like, Age of Empires, you got, like, the onager shots and all the quick walls. Like, I like action strategy a bit more, I think.
Oh, I think that's funny that you picked Age of Empires then. Like,
Well,
I think in comparison to, like, all sports, all esports, picking Age of Empires, where we have, like, arena starts, the first scout war at minute 16... Quite interesting that you are the fan of the highlight scenes.
No. Okay, fair point. Based on what I said, that is true. But Age of Empires is the ultimate combination of really good strategy and, like, strategic depth, where a million things can happen and a million little tiny moves can affect it, and exciting moments.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, like, that scout missed X, Y, or Z by a tile, and it affects, like, the next 10 minutes. Like, stuff like that is just, I love it. In fact, Neely, I think the second most entertaining game for me yesterday was actually the enemy archipelago game with Aftermath and the Baguettes, simply due to the fact that Nikov and MBL were so on point with their scouting and their early movements and communication. And I think the game overall wasn't that good, but that was number 2 on my list from yesterday, simply due to those factors.
Okay. Which of the 2 frontline games made it to your number 1?
I think it's got to be the Suomi one, and that while that wasn't as competitive, the reason for that is just the brilliance of how it all flowed together for Suomi. And there's always that part of me at times that's disappointed with what could have been in games, and I really felt like there was a lot of what could have been for the Baguettes in that game and their game against AM. Like they had the moment to take advantage of, and then I feel like they let it slip away a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Although the Berber Villager Rush was quite entertaining for me as well. And then we had the big games, and how Hera pulled it back there was pretty sick. How greedy he played.
The thing I had to rewatch though was Rubenstock in their game where he palisade walled his villager in on Yo's mill. Like he wanted those buffaloes, man. It didn't feel like something a high level player would do. That's the thing about Rubenstock. It felt like, a community game or something like that where people were memeing, but it was serious.
I think actually it looked very memey, but as you said, it was serious. I think it was one of the best possible strategies, and it's so rare that we see this one outside of Chaos Pit.
Yeah, true. Chaos Pit, another really fun map. Was that in the potential pool?
What civilization are we seeing here, Tristan?
Is WWP confusing us again?
They are very much confusing us. This is not what I was expecting.
Okay, so mathematically, it's 1-1. There's potential for a 4-pointer here for both teams. Where would that put them? What would that change for the teams? Let me look again.
4-pointer gives WWP the chance to get still third, split third.
Yeah.
And 4 points for Baguettes just puts them 4th over WWP.
Gotcha. My thought was like maybe WWP doesn't feel like there's a chance that they can like really change their place, but they should still want to stay 4th, right? So these civs, man, Goth tells me we're going to see some forward villager shenanigans. A lot of Vil fighting, I think, on the wood lines. Hindustanis, I don't mind because you have like that pocket presence from Yoda, maybe go scouts. I actually don't hate this the more I look at it. As long as Lix is super annoying, I don't hate it.
Yeah, he will be super annoying, right? And you know where the villages are going to be, you know where you can send your militia, and Lux is the right guy that you want to send in there. Britons make lots of sense, Hindustanis makes lots of sense. Gojaras, well, doesn't excite me that much, but you have to play them at some point.
Yeah, true. Definitely got to play them. Would be interesting if the Goth player is up against the Gurjaras and we see a lot of focusing on the mill, which is probably one of the bigger talking points there. All right, so here we are into the game. Game 3, second to last 5-game set in the, I keep wanting to say Return of the Elephants. It's Rise of the Elephants.
Well, both a bit, right? Actually, we've seen fewer elephants than I wanted to see.
Yeah, maybe if games go a bit later. We've got Sito for the Baguettes. He's a flank, amazing archer player. Pocket is Anatov playing Khmer. You expect scouts from him. And then you have Clement, who is playing as the Gurjaras, taking his berries already. Also placed the mill already. This is a new civ. You have to play the new civilizations once per series. And that's part of the reason it's here, but honestly, could be a really good civ for this. Already having some food income from the livestock in there. And then Lix is Goths, and Lix is going forward already.
Oh, yeah, and he might find 4 of the sheep. Oh, this is so bad for Clement. And that's not only like 4 sheep that you're normally missing. Those are 4 sheep that you normally want to put in the mill.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is going to be a successful lane for Lix. This has nothing to do with his civilization. But he goes forward already with the potential to kill more. He's found the deer so far, so he's going to take as much food away from Clement as possible. Then, of course, you've got Yo, who's pocket, playing Hindustanis, and then the teal, you've got Paladin Who is not playing as a paladin, Civ.
It is
He's
not
playing
his
as the
style.
Britons.
It is not his style. Well, maybe
So
he
funny.
should be renamed at one point.
It's too late now, right? I think the old video you showed the other day with Paladin, it was Feng Zing back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone called him Paladin anyways.
Yeah, Paladin was his name before then. Then he had Feng Jin for some time, and then now he changed back to Paladin.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, you are benefiting from having the livestock in the mill right now. You also do get the 2 berries underneath your TC, which I think means you're not going to be as weak after a lane. And I suppose if it gets really bad, you could always take the livestock out of the mill. But for me, you always want to keep that in there, because that is going to give you indefinite amounts of food over the long term. Oh, jeez.
Oof, oof. Oh,
Felt
looks
like a very late reaction there from Lix, too.
might still be laggy,
Another
right? We
villager.
saw it yesterday. Villager in some danger. Could be quick walled. Another villager to the rescue.
Yeah, I guess quick wall also depends on if there's lag here. But we see Loom for Clement. He's got to send 2 villagers out. I really like this. You do not want Lix to be around your base with villagers. You never know what he's going to be up to. He knows the one is weak, so I like the idea of chasing this down. He's actually going to send 1 villager back home to work. And he's just going to bring 1 villager with this Camel Scout.
Scout does 1 damage per hit here, so not the real killer. And might go down. No quick wall attempt. Goes down.
Okay, it does go down, and now it's 1-1 with a small lead for Clement. So not too bad over there. But yeah, are we expecting anything crazy here, or am I correct in saying it's probably going to be archers and scouts?
Well, Lux is the big question mark, right? He's sending 4 more villagers forward, so Scout Archer doesn't feel very likely. It's more likely that he will actually go for the pocket. And Clement is sending villagers there as well. What's happening?
He needs a lumber camp. He needs a lumber camp right now. Remember, you start with the mill with Gurjaras, at least you should. He's been chopping straggler trees, but I think he's looking for the middle wood, and he cannot find it right now. It's a lot further away than maybe he expected.
Well, it's in the middle.
Man.
It's
Yeah.
the middle wood. Like, you scouted towards your pocket.
True. Oh, and Lix is going to notice these villagers too, and he's got 4 villagers, and this is exactly what Lix wants. He just wants to be a pest. And this could really slow down Clement, and the left side could kind of be out of the game in terms of the Archer War.
Yeah, and Scouts might be dominating that game over there then. And then we have to question Ethiopians against Britons there. You have to think Britons maybe slightly bit better, but Sito against Paladin, my money is on Sito right now.
Oh, man, the lumber camp is at 69%. Lix is going to house and palisade wall it. So the lumber camp it needs to be deleted now. And Clement has 50 wood in the bank, so he has to delete this. And maybe he didn't know. Oh, from his point of view, he doesn't know it's walled in.
Oh.
He can't see it. You don't have vision beyond the tiles on the lumber camp until you complete the lumber camp. Oh, this is so good from Lix. Lix has had such a good start here. My goodness. Plus, he's got all that extra food back at home. So you know he won't struggle for vill production despite fighting with villagers. Okay, he deletes it now, which is the correct play. You could tell he wants to place one. He has the wood now. He can't go up to feudal age, Nilly, because he doesn't have the lumber camp.
Second building missing, and Lux just continues to fight, right? Even pulled some more villagers. Stays annoying, and the first scout should just go there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Probably will see that. Yo's making a stable now. Yo went up very quick. Like, Anatov is going to make a stable right away as well, but Anatov doesn't need a barracks. The fact that Anatov was actually later than Yo tells you that Yo has just had an insane uptime there.
But what could be problematic now, villagers are coming over there towards Anatov, so the uptime might not even matter that much, although villagers are low. I think if you get to like 3 scouts, you clear up all those 6 vills.
We'll see, though, because this seems to be where Yo is coming, right? So he's going to have to send his units through. But, man, Lix is being annoying. And, yeah, villagers can hop inside of houses with Khmer, but then they're not working. This could definitely have an effect on Anatov's long term. Meanwhile, on the right side, we have double range for Paladin. And we do have double range for Sito. But he's actually producing near his woodline in the middle, which I really like.
Interesting. First scouts now out for Yo. Starting scout of Anatov is coming home, and let's see. Micro should be pretty easy here for Khmer. You can hop into houses.
Yeah, that's true. I think you heal in the houses as well, right?
I don't think so.
No? Actually, I'm not certain on that. But yeah, being able to hop in and out of the houses is obviously hugely helpful with Micro. And the Lix villager train here is about to come to a halt. Another villager goes down. Another villager goes down. Another villager goes down. He's got 2 villagers. Yeah, I just don't think Yo got here with enough to really help Lix out there.
Well, distance is really long, right? Really, really long. So he has to go basically through the wood line. It's not a direct line. He's arriving now. Just think about it. Like, we are only 12 minutes into this game, Tristan.
Yep. Small in feudal age is making a range. Lix is 2 minutes away from upping. Or sorry, not upping, but getting to the next stage.
Look at the wall by Anatov. The villagers actually can't get to the wood line. Or like to the lumber camp.
True. Yeah, because Elix's Palisade. Elix is trying to do the same thing on the other side. And I guess it did add up. Yo's got 4 scouts here, and Anatov was about to have 3 out. But look at Anatov's economy. He does not have a lot of farms because he didn't have the wood. And Sito has been forced to come over here to save Anatov's woodline a little bit. Yo is completely untouched at home. This is really good now for White Wolf Palace.
And that's the power of Lux. Yeah, down to 25 villagers, but his opponent only at 25 as well, so he's maybe like 2 vills behind.
Yeah. Downside would be his opponent's going to make archers, but I think Lix could probably do something. And I think Yo might even be at a point where he could save Lix if needed. This is where Paladin should be going forward. Look at this wall, dude. Is he really trying to... is he really trying to full wall? He has come forward now, though. So you can't knock it if he's able to wall and also push forward with his teammate.
Oh, this could be pretty tricky. Let's take a look how Sito can dodge this.
We've got New Age Micro versus a bit of Older Age Micro, and it's looked pretty good for Paladin so far. Obviously helped by the fact that Yo had more scouts.
Yeah, certainly helps out there, and you obviously bug out a bit more. Scouts are coming in, and even in the old days, it was not like we thought of Paladin as the micro beast.
Yeah, and he did okay there. But having the Britons does mean he does produce a little bit faster. He's at 9 archers right now versus the 4 range units from Sito. I will say the one question for Paladin, and I'm curious on this, is what his food eco will look like. Because after the previous game, I'm thinking he might struggle a little bit with macro.
Market now, 3 on berries, 4 on farms. Has 10 villages on go with double archery range. With Britons, that's kind of okayish.
Lix taking... It looks like he went man-at-arms. Took some losses next to his barracks there. But he did get a tower up on the woodline for Clement, so those villagers have been hanging around. And speaking of hanging around, you still have Paladin up against Sito. But Sito has been getting some really good pickoffs here now.
Let's maybe take a look at the KD. Sito typically should be higher. Now 10-11. After fighting that amount of scouts, pretty solid by him.
Anatov also has a lot more scout support here. Yo doesn't have the HP. He doesn't have the numbers. And this could be a problem now for Paladin. It looks like China recognized this, so they've got to pull back slowly. Just wait for Yo to get more support in there. And Yo's going to add a second stable. I think he was on the fence. I don't know if he wanted to go for that, but he does need to go for that now.
Sick. That's going to be an interesting play. He already has armor, now going for forging. Do we have bloodlines? No, we don't.
Ooh. Yeah, Sito's moved way too far forward now, considering he's only got 4 archers. I think they need to back away now. And meanwhile, there's a 1v1 between Lix and Clement, but it seems close enough.
And it's not that 1v1-ish, because Lux is still continuing to tower up the center, and Anatov needs to abort mission there on the woodline.
Yeah, it feels like there's going to be a point where Anatov reacts to that, and he takes a bad fight here. Yeah, that or he doesn't react, right? Like, that's a lot of archers for Paladin. Let's see. I think this is it, Nilly. I think, like, right there, he reacted, loses a scout, pulls away from the woodline. Lix has done his job so far, hasn't he?
Absolutely. It's just so annoying, and you see basically like Lux doing damage at the left-hand side, and Sito, weirdly enough, has to pay the price now.
Yep. He's been able to damage 2 players. And Paladin's been able to stick to his role. Yo's been able to stick to his role. Yo's still sending scouts out. If Yo continues to keep his foot on the gas here, this could be a very quick game. It feels like either Sato's going to die or Anatov's going to die to this pressure.
Well, Clément is pretty open as well, right? At home, it's pretty much impossible to be fully safe. And yeah, big question, like where they might go towards. And it feels like no player is really thinking about getting to Castle Age.
And they might, if they could do more damage to the pocket player, I think Yo might consider going up. And they see a tower. Good job from Anatov to add the tower here. But does that mean the villagers are going to be protected? Looks like it will.
For how long?
Yeah,
7
Lix
trees?
is also taking out a stable with Gothman and Arms and villagers right now.
Oh.
just Lix things. And that's actually huge. Anatov has also badly housed, and that's his only stable. So there's not like he's going to be okay. He's actually researching bloodlines, Nilly, which I don't think will complete in time.
We'll be close. Men-at-Arms and villagers are pretty solid against buildings.
Especially Gothman at Arms. Meanwhile, we do have the archers actually for Clément heading towards Yo. This is important, I think, for the Baguettes. Because Lix has not really contributed with any archer play. Yo has been untouched until now. But Paladin's going to send some archers over to help, it looks like. And Bloodlines did not complete for Anatov.
Oh, loses 2 villagers at his farms now as well. And those are some interesting farms for a Khmer player. You could have built them at some other places. Feels like
Yeah.
he maybe forgot about that when it comes to farming.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too far away, I guess. But yeah, this is looking really rough for Anatov. And a lot of this does come back to Lix and how he played it. As you see, Clément get cleaned up by Yo and by Paladin. Clément's actually on the way up. Actually, everyone's on the way up for the Baguettes. But they're going to be able to do much with Castle Age.
Anatov losing so many villagers now. That hurts so much. Eco KD 4-4, so lost 4 villagers in this raid as well. Now potentially trying to get back onto farms, maybe buying some stone, but well, he will lose all his gold as well.
We know he won't be able to make knights. I think that's the most important thing here. Also, Lix with another tower on Clément's woodline, which is hilarious to me. Yo's got 14 scouts, so a lot of those scouts are in the middle, and now they're coming in to pounce. But great coordination from Paladin and from Yo with their scouts. And
Yo in the woodline of Clément is sending the scouts in there. Bloodlines +1/+1. And it's not easy to fight that, even with the archers, villagers, and the tower.
It takes the fight.
More scouts.
It's a good... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And you just got to block a house wall. And Clément, it was a good attempt there, but he's going to lose all of his army right before Castle Age. Who cares about the villagers? You need army.
Oh, and that the tower exposed, and the tower goes up at the other side for Lux. So, yeah, even after you saved your wilds, those won't work.
Look at this. Sato with a couple crossbows in between Clément and Anatov. The Paladin's about to get crossbow there, so gotta think that this is going to be supported here by Yo, and here he comes. Old reliable Yo. And there's just so much more effective army, I'd say, for WWP.
Population is so close, Tristan. And army value is basically identical as well.
Wait, what? And now Sato actually got in on Paladin?
Uh-oh. How did you get...
How is the population this close?
How is Baguettes ahead? Is it the Chateau show again?
It certainly has a ring to it. I'm looking at the Eco KD right now. I mean, Lix has lost 7 villagers this game and killed 0. But the Sato show is on. The Sato show is on. Paladin's falling apart.
Oh boy. What's the KD now for Sato?
Yo cannot make knights with his civ, which is what you would want to make here. He can only make camels.
Could consider even cavaliers, light cav against this. Oh.
Sorry, just laughing because Lix is trying a tower on Sato. On the woodline. Lix is just everywhere. He's such a pain.
Oh, but crossbows are coming over. Should deal with that one now.
I mean, there's only 7 crossbows for Sato in the eco, but I'm surprised that the Baguettes have a 30 population lead right now.
That's sick, right? Like we have been casting like great play after great play by WWP, but apparently behind the scenes, the economies were really still running.
You know, what it could be is just the fact that, and we've known this, but Lix, it has no military presence. He's had 0 military presence, and he was hoping that Yo and Paladin would kill somebody, not inconvenience somebody. My goodness.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, it was more than an inconvenience, I'd say, but Anitov's on Knights, taking Knights with +2 armor. He's back in his gold now. And he's going to go over with Sato, and they're going to head over towards Paladin. Like, Paladin needs a lot of crossbows right now. He's only at 16. He needs to have more than that. And I'm not sure I like the 3 TCs here for him, but I guess we'll see. He is booming out of all 3.
It's also so weird that he went like the full wall, but kind of the most vulnerable area is only a palisade gate. That's so easy to break.
I think the biggest standout for me is the fact that Paladin didn't give ballistics. He went 3 TCs right away. Like, I feel like you need ballistics. Yo is not going to be here to support him. But some good initial shots here. But it looks like the Baguettes realize they need to really pile on the pressure here.
Oh, ranged advantage, but doesn't matter. Gate falls.
Sato will not only out micro ballistics, but he will recognize when ballistics isn't in after those 2 volleys, and they're going to go in for the kill here. But the TC being up on the wood line protects Yo and also kind of protects Paladin. Positioning's rather nice there.
Ballistics now 40 seconds away. Tries to find more kills, but can't really fight alone. Now camels and crossbows of WWP not combined.
It's very true. Yo does have a TC up on the wood line, though. You're starting to see WWP take the lead with Eco because of the town centers. And then there's Lix, who is just surviving. But he's made it so Clement cannot attack him, which is good. You know, once Ballistics is in here, I think this could be really good for Yo and Paladin to pounce on. But they're just not together, which is the main concern.
Yeah, but Yo only lost some HP, not a single camel, so that's all good. But now crossbows not in the best position. Oh, just is so weird how much Baguette pulls WWP out of position. And they are reproducing behind this one. And all the army taken away from the economy of the Baguettes.
I think Sato's next wave... Oh, man, that's so good from Paladin to make a stone gate there. I was just going to say, if Sato's next wave could come in now, because he's making so much more army, then I think Yo and Paladin could have some problems. But the eco count's growing. That army will be delayed a little, at least. So I guess the house is an easy target for them.
Well, if they're going for it right now, Paladin still should have more range, has quite a solid economy. Now finally Castle Age here for our Goth player with enough stone for a castle.
I bet you he goes for it in the middle, Nilly. Oh, no, he doesn't. He goes for it at home.
Yeah, he's too much pressure with all the crossbows and mangonels coming forward. He needs those Huskals.
Well, Paladin and Yo with a big clear up. And Paladin at 70 villagers, Yo at 70 villagers, and the booming has definitely worked out here. They just need to defend from the next wave coming in from Anatov and from Sato. And look at this. Look at this. Can Paladin get the house down? He can get the house down. The Knights were running away.
What?
That was a real opportunity there. I guess he went over to stay with Sato. Sato was probably saying, come with me. Holy. Lex can make Huskarls now, which is a pretty solid unit to have out in the map when 2 players are making archers.
Yeah, absolutely. Although Paladin is still taking a reasonable fight here. And that actually means Yo could even consider being more on the boomy side, right? He doesn't need to go like 6 stables. He can think about imping because Huskals will deal with those crossbows quite nicely.
Well, he does need to keep Paladin alive. Paladin's getting hit in his gold by Knights. And most of Paladin's crossbows are actually over on the other side right now. And they're needed against Clement, who's on Lix. Might not be needed for long, but they are needed for the time being. I'd like to see a little more army from Yo. I mean, he's got 84 villagers, so he already is on 4 TCs. So you could consider that the boomy side for sure. Paladin should pull back with these crossbows, or at least micro his heart out to kill the crossbows from the enemy. He's not doing that at all, actually. He's lost a lot here. But Yo is showing up with camels. And yeah, 30 villager lead for WWP as a team. Baguette's military doesn't look like it's going to break White Wolf Palace.
Plus 13 only, and now Huskarls will be pretty interesting. The question is like, how much do we boom if we are Goth? Because if Goth gets imp on this completely unwallable map, they can dominate the game alone. But do you want to give them like, okay, we are playing 3v2 for the next 8 minutes?
I think if you're Yo and Paladin, you're just telling Licks, just don't let your guy get ahead of you. You know, stay or more ahead of you. Just stay in an even situation there with Huskarls. It's really hard to boom, I think, if you don't have support. Wow, if this castle goes up for Clement, though, that is a really good castle spot for this map.
Absolutely, and like Yo needs to expand to the right-hand side, but that's where Paladin has all his villagers, and we know that Citeaux might continue going for aggression there, and Yo just wanted to place a very aggressive castle himself, got denied.
Yeah, I think Yo will now go for a defensive one. If he can place it, obviously. He's got to decide now. I don't think he can comfortably place it. Licks just rang the town bell.
I thought I got raided.
That was a hotkey misclick, I'm sure.
Yeah, feels like it. And, well, quick pause there. Was a bit confused, apparently. And Paladin is sending over all his units, but I think it might be late.
Anarchy on the way for Licks. Also a little late, right? It allows him to produce Huskarls out of his barracks, but if the castle goes up, what's the Gurjara unique unit again? Is that the Chakram thrower?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, villagers.
I think it's the Chakram thrower, and I think that unit would be really good against camel and infantry.
Paladin now imping defensive castle. Not sure if it will be in time. Crossbows could maybe deal with this. I think the castle of Clement is not going up. No support.
Oh, no way. The crossbows got over here. You're right. He didn't have enough villagers, Nilly. I think you've got to send more than 6. Like, at least make it 10. And there was a glimmer of hope there for Clement that if he got that up, the unit he would make and the positioning would be strong. But with Paladin on the way to imp now, puts more and more pressure on Citeaux and for Anatov to kill Paladin.
And yeah, only Anatov on the way to imp against 2 imping players. And this castle not going up also means Lux doesn't need to go for that much army, right? They know, okay, Clement, he can't put too much out on the map anymore.
Yep. I mean, he's 3 TCs right now. He has 3 town centers. I think he's going to struggle with Huskarls if there's knights on the left side anyways, and that seems to be where they're coming. So yeah, you just boom. And Yo being imp as well is going to be a big problem. But I just love how the barracks in the middle of the map for Licks is producing Huskarls. Wow, how annoying is he?
Oh, that's so
like, there's
bad.
a few random ones running around. There's one chasing some villagers from Citeaux. Here, his main TC is just so funny.
Did he kill villagers in the center there of Anatov? Where are all the Anatov villagers? There's one lonely town center.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, near the imp TC, it looks like there were villagers that went down.
Weird.
I think you gotta wall. If Licks ever goes forward on you, you either destroy those buildings or you wall it in. Because he's gonna use it at some point.
Yeah, I think so as well. Okay, now big camel flank here at the left-hand side. Lux is sending his army in as well. Big surround around the crossbows.
Oh, jeez. And yeah, I mean, these crossbows had a very short time to live anyways, but Yo putting them out of their misery there. And again, back to Paladin. Paladin's got a big old ball over at Citeaux's base, and I think... Well, I think when they see Yo and Paladin's an imp, I think they'll call it the GG. That's what I think.
Well, there's so much on the
I don't see
line.
how they can stop this.
Sometimes they feel like, okay, it's the third last game of the tournament for us. Maybe we try to make something happen, but certainly it's not looking good for them. And WWP keeps on pushing on all ends. So many more raids here against Clement as well, and it just looks like so many fires to put out.
Yep. And then we got a forward castle from Licks to make matters even worse for Clement. And that's like... I'm pretty sure the TC ranges some of those villagers. That it's right next to it, but he doesn't care. Spamming quite a few Huskarls as well.
Huskarls
indeed. 90 seconds away from him, and he's going to try and dive here. Nah. He's having fun right now, trying to out-micro these things, but still not a good fight to be in.
What's the intention there? Like, was he really threatening the fight? I'm still surprised how he only lost 3 crossbows.
It's actually ridiculous how he only lost a couple, yeah.
It's pretty sick.
And just spamming the formation hotkeys. Meanwhile, Castle denied for Clement, and he's probably like, guys, can we call it GG yet? And Sato's like, no, I'm having fun microing.
Well,
They're waiting for Cavalier, I guess, to come in for Anatov.
yeah, but Cavalier against lots of heavy Camels already on the field. Like, where are the Cavaliers really going to do something? Lots of them already lost against the Arbalest of Paladin.
Yeah, also 70 Arbalest. So your 15 Cavalier aren't going to touch that. Paladin had a sick recovery game. Like, the previous game was a disaster. But 3 TCs, did delay ballistics, but was able to get by and really hold his own against 2 at times. Obviously had support from Yo, who also had an incredible game. And I think you could use the word incredible to describe Lix. It's just in a different way. It's just weakening all the other players so his 2 teammates could get to the position they're in right now.
Yeah, he really makes his teammates shine. Just imagine, like, Lux and the Max in the same team. Like, everyone would be convinced that the Max is the best player in the world.
Well, right. Well, think about this. What if there was a team, a 4v4 team of Rubenstock, Max, Lix, and Yo? I'm not sure if that's actually good because you probably want one. You either want Rubenstock or Lix to be the player that annoys multiple. I'm not sure if you want 2 people playing that role. That might actually be bad. But it is funny to think about. And the GT's finally called there. And it looked for a bit there like we were casting all these amazing plays from WWP. It really looked like they were going to win it easily in Castle Age. Then the Baguettes came out with tons of military. So props to them for continuing to fight. But ultimately, the economy for WWP too strong. Solid game there on Atacama.
Yeah. And Baguettes now needs 2 wins in a row to split 4th place. WWP, still 2 wins more possible to get split 3rd place, potentially.
Potentially, depending on what happens in the next series, yeah. They'll take it one game at a time here, I'm sure. I think we're moving on to the 4v4 next, so it'll be fun to see how these teams face off with the 4v4 environment. But yeah, Yo and Paladin just carrying hard there with their economies and their kills. Very good game from those 2. And then you got Lix, and his KD wasn't that great. Economy wasn't that great, but it seems like he was the only player we're really talking about for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. Like, after this start, still having a positive KD in the game is actually exceptional.
Yeah, right. Especially because he had so many... He lost like 5 vills, and then he kept sending vills to the middle. Like, he kept losing stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't have enough defensive towers when Archer showed up, so yeah, very impressive. All right, well, Nili, I'm going to mute for a couple minutes. I'll be right back, and we can get into game number 4 then soon, all right?
Okay.
Alrighty, chat.
Didn't you promise to mute? F7, Tristan.
Oh, I pressed F7. Sorry.
F7, Tristan.
I saw it was muted this time, Nili.
Okay. Got him. No, it didn't get him. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying the show. Obviously, we will have Baguettes WWP concluding all 5 games played, so don't leave in case of a 3-1. And after that, arguably the main event, AM versus GL. Still everything on the line. 3-2, the ideal scenario later on for Suomi. Otherwise, lots of tiebreaker scenarios. We will go through them and... let's just think about it. Baguettes, they have to get 2 more wins in a row here. That's the only way for them to still compete and get 4th place. But 4v4, 2v2, still options for them. Just need a really good team, but just need more tournament experience and practice. Okay. Really, really sweet games. 4v4 Enemy Archipelago now coming up. I think that should be a really good map for WWP. I think that's a great map for Lux, a great map for Vivi. I don't think it's a great map for Paladin, but also a really good map for Mr. Yo. How are the French lads? I think checking Wikipedia might be the best choice there. On the younger end, I would think. I wouldn't be surprised if like the average player is 5 years younger for Baguettes than for WWP. 21, 22? Oh, that feels really young. Oh, I would think Sito is older than that. I've heard of Sito like. Oh no, that was pre-Corona times. Oh, maybe he was 16 at that time. Yeah. Okay, he's that young. Sick. Okay. 22 says Liquipedia. Then we will trust Liquipedia. Okay, well then he has been playing for quite some time as well. At least like 5-6 years. Which is pretty weird, right? What 16-year-old is still picking up Age of Empires? My Google 23. Crazy. Well, lots of young talent there from France coming over. And they're hosting the next game. I will go and see that 7 players are already in there. Celeste is actually being sent in instead of Clément. And on top of Magugu and Sito, we have Luxio Paladin likely to be added with Vivi. I think Hera's only 22 or 23. Yeah. But he has been playing for way longer. I think a 12-year picking it up, a 12-year-old makes more sense, right? I saw Hera's potential before ECL days, and ECL concluded 2008. No, 2019. ECL is that short? ECL was that recently? Sick. Okay. You gonna play some games against AM? No. I'm the same age as Sito, and I got to know age because my father, 55-year-old, was playing it on his PC when I was around 10 years old. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. My Google is 20 according to Wikipedia. Sick. Yeah, sick. ECL is more like 2017. I'm pretty sure ECL finals were summer 2019. Because I talked to Microsoft about funding for NAC3, which was early 2020. Right, and came out before DE. I'm pretty sure ECL finals are summer 2019. What's the closest you've ever been to leaking an upcoming tournament? Oh, I've leaked upcoming tournaments before. Sometimes people just don't realize. No. Still was born 2 months after the release of H2 LOL. I also have played against Stout online.
All right, Neely, don't want to interrupt.
Before
If
Leary
you're
was born.
Talking about hippos or thanking people or whatever, but I am back.
Welcome back. I was actually talking about like how incredibly young the French team is. Apparently Sito is 22. We have Magugu with 20. So actually like they were like Magugu was born after Age of Empires 2 was released.
That's disgusting. I feel so old.
Like
I even hear 22 and I'm like, oh man, wow.
I was camping before the store to buy Age of Empires 2 when it came out.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because I was like such a hardcore AoE 1 fan. And then I thought like this has to be the next one.
Okay, so Sito's 22. I thought he was 23 or 24, but it's the same deal.
Okay, go ahead. Don't get overexcited with the game. I think they restarted.
Okay, good to know. Margu's 20. I think I haven't heard anything about the age of Soleil or Clement, but I know they've been Clement has at least been around a while, so I think if I had to guess, I'd say he's like mid-20s. I mean, still with Age of Empires, that's still a young talent. When you've got like a lot of our big names approaching 30 right now or already in their 30s with a few exceptions.
Yeah. Well, it's fun how this game connects people over the ages.
Literally. And figuratively.
Yeah.
But let's see, Viper's 29 now, I think.
Oh, I thought he is old, but I think he's even younger.
Well, I'm 29, and I think he's 6 months older than me.
He's 30 now.
Is he actually 30?
Ooh,
So he's a year
30.
older than me?
Yeah. Born 91.
Okay, so he's 30. Doubt we already know his mid-30s. What's Tato's age? He's also around my age, too. But he's like 30-ish?
I don't know.
Okay, so he's close. Basically, what I'm saying is all the GamerLegion guys are getting old. Jordan, I think, is also 30.
Jordan is, I think, a month or a week younger than the Viper.
Okay, so they're very close. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, AM, you've got some exceptions there. I think MBL is like 28, 29. Nikov, I don't know Nikov's age. I don't think he's 30 yet. Leary and Hera are like a big exceptions because they are much younger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good to see some younger talents coming in and some new faces. That's what it should be happening, right? Like, I feel like this year, and maybe we don't talk about it as much, but this year we have seen more challenging players than maybe previous years. Would you agree with that statement? And when I say challenging, I don't necessarily mean encroaching into that top 16 because that's tough. But like, the top 50 has changed massively over the last year.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's like, if we're trying to figure out why, okay, wait, the question is, I need to do some admin work. You have to full time.
Okay, sure, that's fine. Have fun with admin work. I'll just ramble. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think DE came out in 2019, but it's been 2.5 years now, and so you think of how long you have to play if you have a lot of talent to get to the top. 2.5 years feels right. So maybe people who are like 16, 1700, 1800 on Voobly, they played before, came in, finally, had lots of motivation, a lot easier to play, etc., etc. So I think that's why we're seeing more names. I also think that, and this is kind of maybe you can consider this sad, but as a high-level player, if you're not making content, or if you are making content, but it's not something you can really live off of, there's a certain point where you got to make decisions. And I think there are also a lot of players that were top 40, top 50 that are just like, I can't commit at late 20s, early 30s. I can't commit to playing as much as I did. So you have these young kids who are in like college, and they see these spots opening up, and they're like, let's go for it, let's make it happen.
Well, let's go for it. Sounds very reasonable in the sense that we can jump into game number 4, and there was some confusion, but actually nothing really happening. So this is the real game.
Perfect. Now, the dashboard won't load for me right now. I'm gonna see if I could find them by their name. Did it load up?
It should be the normal game, yeah. Like, I'm in game, but it's also paused.
Gotcha. Well, I will continue to search for the game, I suppose. If only there was an easy way in the game to sort tournament lobbies.
Well, you always have the ID, Tristan, so you can always join via your internet browser.
Yeah, I don't have the ID, unless it's being posted in the Discord, and I'm missing it every time.
Yes, it's always
okay,
posted every single time in the Discord.
Dude, I didn't even know that until now, so that's good.
Okay. Okay, so everything sorted out, and at least on our end, obviously 4 small islands, and you might think, wow, who's together with whom? Well, let's just think it that way. You're always with an opponent on your island.
All right, yeah, and I'm loading up here, Nearly. We're going to catch up. So, man, we had some amazing games in the 2v2, but to have 4v4 with this is really something special. So, how do we even do the introductions? Did we introduce the islands here, Nearly?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's what we do. So, 4 separate 1v1s. We've got Margu playing as the Dravidians up against Lix. That'll be fun, Dravidians. In the orange, we've got Anatov, Bengalis versus Vivi's Gurjaras. And the yellow, we have Sato's Italians versus Paladins Bengalis. And then we have Soleil playing as the Portuguese up against Yo's Portuguese. So we have a Portuguese island, a Dravidian island, a dynasty of India's. We have an Indian civil war with the Bengalis and the Gurjaras. And then we have Italians. So, and sorry, and the Indian expansion. So, it'll be interesting, Nilly. But talk to me about it. I haven't seen 4 people on this. I have seen, or 4 teams on this, or 1v1s. I have seen the 2v2 version, and it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and this could be even more crazy simply because you don't even only have to think about the land, but water becomes so much more important, right? Because if one player is able to hold and dominate water, and you don't need a lot to dominate water, right? Because no one is really investing into a lot, your whole team is benefiting from it. So it feels a bit like 4 1v1s, but that would only be the case if we had like no real benefit of controlling the water. Obviously, like having lots of galleys, something we won't see till like Imp, I would think. But the fish boom difference could be massive here.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think about how you'd play it if you wanted to play into water. And I think what you would do is you would wall up and just back dock it. So I'm looking at Margu actually right now. This seems like the ideal position because you could wall the front. The gold would be questionable, but you could wall up, and where you're docking will be around the area Yo is docking on the other side. And that could be communicated if Soleil sees it, and granted, he's Portuguese, right? So they have the same vision, their team. You could find the dock, and they could strategize that way. But that's just going to be so tricky, right? Because if you do that, you wall up and you go water, obviously you could die on land. And we already see Lix making a barracks and not a dock. This is not something I was expecting to see.
Ooh, that will be some aggression. Margu, by the way, the mistake, only built the dock very late. The villager already picked up 23 food there at the shorefish, and therefore already floating a lot of wood. And Lux with a drush, apparently. That's going to be tricky. Gold, not easily controlled here.
Yo just lost a villager to Soleil. I have a feeling we're going to be bouncing around a lot in this game. So if anyone gets dizzy spells or gets frustrated by lots of movements on your screen, this might be the one to just listen to instead of watch. Because this is going to be wild.
Okay, apparently we are missing 1 extra gold here for Soleil. Let me see. It seems like everyone has 2 gold spots.
True.
No, it's inconsistent spawn. For example, it's 5 on the top island. Oh, we have 1 here, 2 here. Yeah, it feels bad for Soleil. I think it's simply inconsistent how many gold spots you have.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
is
I imagine
bad.
this is... Yeah, I imagine it's really hard to get consistent map scripting on this. He is Portuguese, so his units cost less gold. But I imagine you as the admin are trying to think about what to do in this situation right now.
Yeah, it is tricky, right? So Soleil has 1 fewer, and 1 on the Anatov's island, there's 1 extra gold. So I actually like didn't do the best job of like completely checking what are the standard resources, how consistently it is spawning. So I will let it play. If I knew that 2 is always the intended amount of gold that every player should have, then this would be a clear admin win, but admin restart. But I simply am not knowledgeable enough about it. We also have 3 golds for Paladin.
Yeah, also, for all we know, we could do this generation like 5 new times, and the same issue could happen, right? Like, the likelihood of someone not having 2 golds seems like it's somewhat high, because the map is just ridiculous. So, we'll just something to know, and we'll keep an eye on here. Sato's going Militia against... Paladin is going Militia. The left side, we've got a wall of walling in the south. This is ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
also, Man-at-Arms in on Margu right now.
Oh, walls this one maybe behind. 1 villager down already. Tries to go into gold, and those villagers at the woodline can still work. Archer range now being dropped.
Yeah, now remember, there's fish from Margu, but there's only 2 fishing ships. So I feel like this pressure from Lix has worked out because he's killed 2 villagers, and he'll have archer pressure on that golden woodline. This is insane.
This is impossible to cast. It feels like we should do this like split screen with 4 casters.
Paladin losing vills. You also have Anatov hitting walls. And then you've got a villager that's about to go down for Soleil. No, I think the quick walls will come up. Yeah, this is insane, man. This is insane.
Archer range for Soleil for the defense. Walled off the right-hand side as well. Could go for a nice defense. I think we need to see a defensive tower there because the archer range still needs some time.
Yeah. My goodness. Now, I'm looking at Margu. Margu does not know about Lix's tower. That is an amazing tower from Lix. But Margu's coming in here with Man-at-Arms out of nowhere. It feels weird that he didn't engage with them if he had them.
Maybe a bit late.
Yeah, maybe he created them after the fact, and he's taking a really poor fight here. This is not going to be looking very good for Margu, that's for sure.
And the archer's pretty blocked. Oh, this is so good for Lux.
Oh, Archer did survive at least, but once the tower goes up, he's going to be completely off of gold, and now the Archer's not surviving for Margu because it does survive. Sorry. Oh my god, Nilly. This is insane. This is insane.
And Margot, that's one of his gold. The other one at the right-hand side, so needs to make something wild happen. And is anything happen on water? It feels like everyone's just fishing, right? We don't have anyone really going...
Yeah, there are fires, but I'm not really seeing any success with them yet. But Yo is dominating his side right now, and Soleil has had to fall back to a tower. And then Lix is dominating his side.
Why do
it at least seems 50-50 elsewhere.
Why do I think Byzantines could have been a really good civilization here? Like fire galleys, the tower having more HP. You have low numbers in military, so spearmen, skirm, cheaper could have really helped you out as well.
Margu losing another Vil. And that one seems like Margu didn't even notice it. And I think Margu's probably telling his teammates, like, I'm super dead right now. Or maybe you don't tell your teammates you're super dead because you want them to win their 1v1. You don't want to discourage them. Oh, transport ship for Anatov near his base is almost down. Pretty big deal. I think he might want to transport around walls or transport to another island, Nilly.
Oh, but now takes the 1v1 fight. Their fire galley tries to get away. Archers are ready. 5 archers, 2 militia. That's quite ambitious. And I think maybe landing paladin could be an option.
Yeah, is he still going to go for it, though?
Nah, he won't.
The question is, does Vivi see it? Okay, it's still going to keep moving there. And we've got to keep our focus shifting all the time. This is wild. Fishing ships for Soleil going down to archers and men-at-arms. And here comes the transport for Anatov. Okay, just passing. I think it's going to make it.
But it's only two archers.
Only with 2 archers.
Yeah, doesn't excite me too much. And it's spotted as well, so army should easily come back.
And Paladin's wood access is going to be a real problem here. There's enough range units for Sato. In fact, I would really like to see towers. Those range units could do a lot.
Disengages from the army at the front, and Paladin in quite some problems here. Is holding on water, though, against Sato.
Lix is now going, or has been on water for a bit. And he's not making any navy there. And then you look at Yo, and you've got Soleil with 5 archers, but Yo tracked this very nicely. He could have lost all of his villagers on berries, so he knew this was coming.
Soleil trying to find some damage there into the wood line. Yo with the proper defense so far. And, oh, I didn't even realize Soleil is actually not on water at all. Kind of the only player, right? Yeah.
I think the only player without it. I'm wondering what the focus is going to be for Sato and for Anno, because they both do have some water control. Or at least Anno did, so there's a lot they could gain from that, as they're both on the way to Castle Age. Way faster than I thought we'd see here.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was quite some nice aggression, right? So Sato feels like he has the timing there, and Anno quite easy walls as well. It feels like... Ooh, Soleil is clearing up the tower and can take his gold again.
Also, if Sato doesn't get hit by a big demo here, if he could get his water upgrades with Italians, not only could he dominate water here, but he could dominate water everywhere else. Just 1 or 2 fires heading to random areas where there might be fishing ships would be huge.
Oh, Magugu, he had the right counter with skirms against the archers of Lux, but now scouts are being mixed in, but Magugu still sits at home. Still, oh, he got the gold at the top.
Ooh, he's been taking that, and I guess Lix didn't scout that. Yet Lix is close to scouting it, but just completely missed it. He probably thinks his opponent can't take gold right now. And there comes Castle Age for Anno. Castle Age as well for Sito. You have WWP players that are going to be up soon. Sito will click his upgrades here now that he's in Castle, and he's going to go crossbow, bodkin, the wood upgrade, and also water. Wow, Sito's in a great position to carry this.
But Sito has one major question ahead of himself. Is he trying to force the issue against Paladin and try to make it a 4v3? Or is he trying to go full water, try to kill more fishing ships, and try to help his team more that way?
Well, he just got hit by a big demo right before his upgrades, Nilly. He's losing so much. And I was going to answer to you and say, I think he's going to try and do both. But if you try and do both, that's the type of thing that happens. So it's not going to be easy. But I think if any player could do it out there, it's probably going to be Sito.
Elephants now in the center as well. Anatef getting some reasonable control. And, well, Skirms doing a good job at Magugo's side. Score incredibly close, Tristan.
A skirmisher spearman. And that would actually tell me if I'm Lix, that would tell me my opponent still doesn't have gold. He hasn't seen any gold units. So I don't think he knows unless he... Oh, no, he did actually spot it with it. There's a tower there now, so I'm mistaken.
Did he
Good pressure
it?
from Sito. This guy's incredible.
Okay.
He's got fires, he's got crossbows, he's got skirmishers, and he's got a second TC, and now a third TC. So
That's
he's literally doing everything.
Yeah. And not the craziest amount of fishing ships, right? 7 there? Not super crazy.
I think the push in the north is going to be the most important. The highest score right now for the Chinese team is Vivi, and he has elephants and siege on him. He's got to the minimum range of the Mangonel, and he's trying his best to take it out with a camel, and he's using the skirms against the crossbows. Man, is this messy right now.
Really messy. Mangonel actually survives. Still continues to ground attack now. Shiramsha riders are coming over. Maybe
monk.
ground attack against villagers.
There's a monk. Oh, the conversion would have been so nice there, and it doesn't happen. Monk goes down. The crossbow's still running into Vivi's base, though. Vivi's not going to love that.
How is Vivi's score so much higher than Anotov's? Is it water alone?
I think it's just the fish, yeah. Also, he's got 4 fires that are on Anatov's dock that Anatov's about to lose, so... I think it's the water, but this is what I meant. Sito's got a weak fire that he brought over here. He can kill all those fishing ships with 1 fire. And also, I don't know if you said it or spotted it, but Yo just dropped a castle on Soleil. And this is the player we talked about, only has 1 gold. This is going to be so bad for him.
Oh, and now oil guns. We saw that yesterday for Paladin, finding quite some efficiency there as well. And well, how can you address that with only skirms as your option?
Well, I think this is where Yo needs to recognize he's super far ahead and switch on to water or something. Like, because if he were to get a couple docks up and start to contribute some fire ships, I think it'd be super helpful. Like, look at Sito. 1 fire ship killing fish. I guess you could say that there might not be that many fish anyways out there for the baguettes, so it's hard to decide, but it feels like the best way for him to at least help his teammates is he's using crossbows on Soleil in the back. Yikes.
Finding so many kills.
Yeah. This is a fun one, as we see elephants for Paladin, and I don't think Sito was expecting that. He's going to go for a defensive monastery now. And 4 TCs, Sito?
What?
4 town centers. I feel like a 4 town center is just way overkill. You need to use that stone for castles, and Paladin's going to do just that with the Bengalis, dropping it right there in that central hill. I love that decision.
And that's not really how Italian shines, right? They really shine early Imperial Age, going for condos, going for... Like, condo landing towards the other side could be something beautiful. Also, like, fast fire ships. All your options. 40C, not really, well, playing your strengths.
Look at Lix. He's used fires, and he's taking out what's left of the fish from Margu. And he also still has to pay attention to his hill. He does have an elephant archer, which would tank some of these shots from Margu's crossbows, but I still feel like Margu's crossbow number is high enough. And I'm just looking at stone right now, Nilly. I'm just like, who has enough stone for the next castle? Because I feel like castle drops are going to be so important.
Yeah, feels like it. And, well, the castle in the center. I honestly think, like, Paladin will be back doing quite some reasonable damage against Sito. I don't think he will overtake him simply because he's so far behind in economy. But just being able to pressure back is really nice for the whole team.
And again, it's like you're adding all these vills. It doesn't feel like a 100 vill island. It feels like a 60 vill fast imp island, you know? Like, what are you going to do with 100 vills there in the long term? Also, we get to see the Ratha now, the unique unit for the Bengalis. The first time that I've seen it since we've been casting together. And it actually is a castle denial here for Sito. The Paladin was completely out of position with his army, and he can't complete the other castle. Oh, God. Then you got a castle from Soleil, but he's still completely surrounded. This is insanity. The closest island, I would say, is Anatov and Vivi in the north, as they've been going back and forth, but...
And that gives you a bit of an idea about how good Anatov is in the 1v1s, right? Even losing water, having some problems, and on a map where we feel, and like a scenario where we feel like Vivi should be one of the best in the world, and Anatov playing toe-to-toe here.
It's about to get crazy, though, because we're going to have... the army compositions are really interesting. And we have monk upgrades coming in to convert siege, but also Anatov wants to drop a castle. So Anatov needs to decide on a defensive castle or a defensive castle, and this is where we're going to see the difference between these two. As we see Sito on the way to Imp, Nili, still denying that one castle, and if he could drop his own, he could actually win against Paladin.
Looks like he should get his up, right? 4 Rathas won't do the job. Let's see, what more do we have in the queue? Some more Rathas, one more Mangonel, but that won't be enough.
I'm laughing at Soleil right now. He might be defeated, honestly. He might get defeated here. Because his dock's going down to a fire ship. He's got organ guns taking out his TC. He's got organ guns on the market. He's just going to hop into his freaking castle here, Neely. I think that's everything he's got. Yeah, 12 pop.
12.
And the castle will eventually go down. Oh, jeez. And the thing is, they could still... Like, we could see multiple players be defeated here. Because Sito's going to drop a castle. And he's going to make Trebs, which I think is going to destroy Paladin's castles. So who knows what's going to happen here? This is a really fun one.
Oh yeah, this could get 3v3 pretty soon with like orange and green pretty even, blue and purple rather even, probably looks with a slight advantage. This could be actually like this could turn into a long 3v3.
Yeah. I mean, it might even be a 2v2 because who knows?
Actually, yeah.
Like, I think Yo is obviously ahead, and he could defeat... There's a Treb out. He could defeat Soleil, but I think Lix is going to win against Margu, or at least is winning. But Sito's going to probably kill Paladin, and then I guess this puts pressure on Anatov to beat Vivi. Yeah, so I guess it feels like WWP is ahead by one player, if we look at it that way.
Sito also will still take some more time.
Oh, transport in the south. The Sito is coming to save him. Transport in the south to save Soleil. He'll be defeated otherwise.
Oh no, transporter could die.
Keep moving, Yo.
60 HP. They're just fighting back.
From Yo. What a play from Yo. And what a play from Sito to save his teammate. The Soleil will be able to reboom here.
Unless there's something coming in on water. No one is sending anything.
Yeah, it's probably not worth the focus at this point, but that was crazy. What do you do if you're Paladin right now, Neely? Because you're not on the way to the Imperial Age, and it feels like you're just going to lose everything to Sito.
Also, like, what he should do is, like, send 10 villagers over to Yo's island. Right? Because that's the island that should have most resources.
Yeah, maybe. I actually think the other thing, if the slinging rules allow it, I think if you're dying, you should send your resources to someone who's 50-50. Like, if you were to send all of his resources to Vivi, then Vivi could... Well, now Vivi's about to hit Imp, so the rules would not allow that. But like, then Vivi could maybe win his 1v1 a bit faster. Or to Lix. Like, if Lix receives 600 resources right now, that might be the difference between him continuing to slowly beat Margu or defeating Margu. That population 460 for WWP. The red is just completely out of the game. And Margu is getting dominated right now. He's 30 villagers behind, though he does have solid military. So Sito has to kill Paladin faster, and Paladin just got to stay alive as long as possible here.
Yeah, and Paladin is doing a good job. Finds more villager kills, gets more buildings up, and forces more and more reaction. And that's his only job. I think, honestly, like, sending 10 villagers over because he knows he will die eventually could make lots of sense. But now just kill, like, Siege as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the Rathas are that good against Siege unless you switch them to melee. Yeah, he's doing an exceptional job. I do think, though, that the castle will go up for Sito. And then after this castle goes up, that he's going to continue to take heavy losses. But he's doing such a good job to stay alive, as that is the name of the game right now, and Vivi is winning. I still don't fully understand Vivi's score throughout this whole game. He is a ridiculous score. But I guess it's just the fish that he had out there.
It was the water win, and now obviously Imp against Castle Age, so he will find some more kills as well. Oh, Yo's landing will be ugly for Sito.
Ooh, true. Oh, man, Sito can't deal with this. Sito cannot deal with this. He just clicked Fast Fire, too, so he was just going to try and control the CE. I feel like Portuguese might be one of the best. Look at Yo's TC. Look how many Fatorias. He's got 6.
What?
Yeah, 6 Fatorias. He's just like, well, there's not going to be many resources for me to take anyways, so I'll just do that.
Well, he controls the full island, so he should, like, he is the one that could technically get most resources in the whole game.
Yeah, true. Not that much gold and stone. Remember, was a gold spot missing, but Yo loves his Fatorias. Players love to make them with the Portuguese. There was also a recent change where it gives you, I think, more food and slightly less wood. And Sito is stuck in the middle now between 2 of the WWP players, and I imagine that does not feel good.
Oh, skirm defense now for Sito against soon to be some bombard cannons here. Orient guns, elite Orient guns, forward castle, a bit on the ambitious side again, 3 traps. I think Yo should cancel that one, and yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. But having bombard cannons is so important. The fact that he made the siege workshop and immediately queued up bombard cannons means he can hold this position. He snipes one of the trebuchets. He's going to snipe the next trebuchet. And at this point, Sito must be running out of gold. That's what I'm thinking. He's got 4 on gold. He doesn't have a lot of gold in the bank, and Yo knows it. So Yo will just drop the castle now. Still risky because there's a treb. And, oh god, did he lose that? I think he lost it.
600 stone in the bank, yeah. So very likely that Yo lost this to one single trap shot.
But the Fatorias will give him stone. So he could drop another one, no problem. These are elite organ guns for Yo. And then Vivi is winning his 1v1 in the north. Has been for a while now. He's going for the Shravamsha Riders, which are great against skirmishers. And has all the control he'll need. GG's called.
G to the GWWP keeps their dream alive. And now it's confirmed Baguettes 5th place overall. And WWP could still win a next game and hope that AM or GL play 5-0.
My favorite thing about this game, though, was the save from Sito on Soleil. And also Soleil right now, he's fish booming, man. There's no fishing ships. There's no fish out there. But he docked to add fish. There's 11 food exactly on that snapper. Yeah, I think, like, in terms of the early aggression, it was just so much better for WWP. Lix dominated Margu and put him in his place early. Yo did a similar thing with Soleil. And then Vivi Anatov, I guess we didn't see like that much in the way of kills, but I think Vivi had the fish boom, right? I think you mentioned at one point that Anatov didn't even dock in the early stages.
Anatov docked.
Or he did, okay.
Yeah.
But at least every time I looked over at Vivi, there were fishing ships and there was economy. And while it was pretty close there for a while, it still felt like he was slightly ahead. You gotta just be as aggressive as possible here in the aggression from Yo and Lix, probably the 2 most aggressive players in their entire country, made it happen. So entertaining game.
Truly was. And let's take a look at the statistics. Obviously should be all over the place. Celeste, not the prettiest KD there, and Yo 110 to 32, and a lot of raisings after that as well.
Yeah, obviously a little unfortunate for Celeste as well to not have an additional gold to fall back to. It's hard to say that made the difference because there was the same like Margu had an extra gold to fall back to, and Margu did still lose to his side, but he also was, I think, the weakest player on his team up against the strongest player from the other team. So that was probably a lot that had to do with it as well. Yo brought in almost 10,000 gold and almost 4,000 stone. So yes, Fatorias do cost gold. Yes, they do cost stone. Yes, they take up pop space. And obviously he was super far ahead, but it did feel like it was going to make some sense for Yo. I'm just not sure if I agree with 6.
Well,
I feel like I would have gone with 4.
47 villagers, right? So it's not too far off.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay,
It was a good game, though.
Yeah, really good game. I still want to address the situation with the admin win, or like admin restart. So basically, we only realized at 8 minutes 10 seconds, right? So calling a restart there is pretty questionable because they're already 10 minutes into the game, and then calling a restart, you can't call a restart too late into the game. We also didn't know how gold is spawning and how consistently. And we saw like 4 islands all having different amount of gold on there, right? That could be the normal generation. So saying here's one, admin restart is actually not consistent on our end as well. Third thing, I think he actually lost the game because he didn't dock. 7 players docked, Celeste didn't dock, he was the one dying first. He was controlling the gold at one point, and I think that was not the main factor.
Yeah, I agree with all those statements. It's tricky, with a map like that. You think you'd have to put a lot of time and effort into the scripting to get it right. And as I mentioned, I think if you were to do 10 different generations, it probably happens pretty consistently. But it was a good game. Final game is coming up. Final game is pre-established, and it is going to be 2v2 on Lowland. And that will be 2v2 with players that didn't play the 2v2 before. So that means for WWP, they will not play with Vivi or Paladin. But this is probably going to be Yo and Lix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yo and Lix against Tito and Magugu.
Ooh, I like it. Lowland is the map that was originally in Red Bull Wololo, where they're elevated at the start, and then the gold is in the center, right? Okay.
Yeah. Actually,
what civs have been being picked there? Like, what's the meta? Archer Scout still, or like Archer Knight?
We have seen 2v2, and it was Vivi picking Spanish. So that could be an option here for Lux, for example. And we have seen, I think, Human Spanish by WWP when they played against GL. And GL played Cumin plus, I think it was Bengalis by Tero.
Gotcha. And part of that might be the fact that they had to play them. Actually, a good thing to bring up, because you do have to play all the new civilizations at least once throughout the series. So, going through it in my mind, WWP just played with Bengalis. They already played with Hindustanis. They just played with the Gujaras.
Dravidians. And Gujaras were the opening civ for Magugu and now for Vivi. So I think we're through with all the 4 civs.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Bengalis. Yeah, we just had 3 new ones, 2 new ones. No, wait.
No, because it was Hindustanis
we had
game
all,
1.
Yeah.
For the Baguettes, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to see Yo and Lix in the 2v2, though. I'm excited for this. And they really want this win, right? So I'll pull up the bracket again just to double check. But basically what they're hoping for is that they get 4 points here, and then that GamerLegion or Aftermath gets swept.
Correct. And then they split 3rd place. Otherwise, they still get simply 4th.
I think it is unlikely, at least I hope for our entertainment's sake, that we do not see a sweep in the Aftermath and GamerLegion series. But it would make it interesting because either of those teams needs a 5-0 in order to win and get ahead of Suomi.
Yes. Yeah. So
yeah, whereas like a 4-1 would mean they tie with Suomi or whatever.
It's only 40 seconds, but I will go and quickly pee because I could expect this one could go long.
All right, have fun. Got that out of the way earlier. The civs are Mayans for Sito, and Margu has gone for the Franks, and then it will be Franks for Yo, and the Saracens for Lick. So I expect Scouts, maybe even Fast Castle Knights, and then a whole lot of freaking archers here. Still watching Regicide Rumble 4? Yeah, man, those were some awesome games. Super pumped Microsoft sponsored it. We made it happen. We should be in the game. You're going to hear Nilly's footsteps running back into his room here in a second. Make sure everyone asks him if he washed his hands. It's always important. Another best of 5 after this, everybody. Between Aftermath and GamerLegion, that'll be the conclusion of this event. And it is important, obviously, where the players are going to match up. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to get ready. I'm going to assume Nilly's going to come in here, so I'm just going to talk and get it started. The map is Lowland for game number 5. And we've got Yo in the green playing as the Franks. He's teamed up with Lix. Lix is playing as the Saracens. Remember, they did use Mayans earlier in the day on Regicide Fortress. Nilly and I kind of questioned that for 2 reasons. One, why not pick Spanish Chinese? That was the big thing, but also you might want Mayans elsewhere, and that's exactly what we've seen. We got Margu going for the Franks on the other side. You should expect him as a Frenchman to perform quite well with them. And then the yellow, you've got Sato, who is the Mayans. Fantastic archer player, of course, so look out for him to do some damage there. And I could sense Nilly's back.
Hey, yo. Great spider senses.
Yeah, man. I could tell. I could just feel you, dude.
Nice.
So this is a little more open than I recalled, Nilly. Have there been any adjustments to Lowland, or was this like, is my brain still back in the early Red Bull Wallows, and then there was an adjustment at some point?
Just think about it. You've seen a lot of Gold Rush and Golden Pit, right? In 1v1s, you're pretty much close to the edge of the map, and everything is in the center. So it's like really easy for you to wall, and games play way more passively. In team games, suddenly you're more in the center of the map, and it's tougher to wall for yourself.
Could be, yeah, that would make sense. Well, if that's the case, I really like the idea to go for the Mayans and the Franks. Feels like even if you don't get through the archer players' walls, having some scout presence could be really important. Plus, the Frankish economy is amazing. Do you ever watch a game? Like, obviously, I know you like to play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, you show up to cast the series, and you're casting the series. Is there ever a moment, whether it's a player's position or civ or whatever, where you just immediately get this itch, like, oh god, I wish I was playing in that player's position right now?
Max game on Frontline yesterday evening.
Where he's full boom and just having fun, yeah.
That's the dream scenario.
For me, it's anytime I see Franks in a 2v2.
Oh, really?
Not even a 3v3 or 4v4. I'm just like, oh, just to get to make scouts with a lot of eco and go on the knights sounds amazing.
Well, it is Stream, right? It plays really smoothly. You can transition quite nicely, and it also like it's tough to go wrong in the sense like your exactly. Meta is very much defined, and it is just extremely powerful.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the map for Margugu is the best map of the 4. Has an extra woodline or 2 in front of the TC, which is going to allow some easy walling. Also, there's going to be 2 golds behind those walls, and the berries is on the back. Whereas if you look at Lix, I guess he'd have 1 safe gold. The other one's going to be protruding from the front, and then Yo as well. It doesn't have 2 safe, easily walled golds, but obviously it does depend on how you play the map and all that stuff. So just things to talk about here in the Dark Age. As I look at Sato's berries, and ooh, that's ugly.
Let's see how much it will matter, though, right? He also has the open gold, so he will have to play it pretty openly. The thing is, it just feels like he is so good right now in archers. Like, people on my chat have been calling him, like, top 3 archer players. I think I wouldn't go that far, but right now his micro is on point, his macro really good, and he just dominated Veles in his set against Suomi twice in one day.
Okay, so that's actually an interesting thing to talk about. So let's say we have 2 pockets that are pre-established. Let's say we go like Viper, Yo, or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're making an all-star team. The one flank is got to be probably Leary, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your other flank?
I think I have to give one to Tato.
Okay. Like contractually you have to?
It's not like I think I also would give it to Hera.
archers flank Hera?
It's simply like it's not where I would put him in an AM team. But if you put Yo and Viper in the pockets, then I think Hera is still in my top 4 in archer flanks. Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I don't think he lacks ability, but I just haven't seen it enough to agree. I guess it's like having Tato over Sito, I think would be good, even from just like the strategic perspective before the game, you know? But what Tato does well, I don't think his micro is as good as Sito, but I think the way he coordinates with a pocket and his army control and movement, knowing where to hit and where to be all the time is just top tier stuff.
Also, like
maybe Sito's not top 3 flank, but he's definitely top 5.
It also comes a bit down to like how deep we are going into civilizations, right? Because if we think like only top 2 civs, you could make an argument for like even Winchester being better than Tato. But if we go like into like top 5 archer civs and suddenly you have to make something happen with like, let's say Incas, then I think Tato is better.
Yeah, it's a longer conversation that needs to be had for sure. We see the uptimes here. Very similar, Nilly, but we didn't have a lot of time to talk about it. We know about the Mayans, right? So the Mayans are known for having their cheaper archers, cheaper walls. And I'd say in particular, early Castle Age, when you're on 3 archer ranges, it just feels like so hard to stop that civ. But the Saracens, they're not known for their cheaper archers. They're known for being able to do some crazy things with their market. And we could see that work out here for Licks. It's just the timing on it's always tricky. Like right now we see the market, and he's only on 1 range, whereas Sito is going to be on 2 range. So I think that Yo is going to have to really carry his own weight here as he waits for Licks to rush to Castle Age behind the market abuse.
And I don't like this early market if you are walling that close to your gold. I think you need like 4 tiles ahead of it, and then you can be a bit greedy, try to play for Castle Age. But this one feels like it could get punished.
Yeah, and I also don't like the timing on the market in general. I think sometimes it can be a little bit of a trap. You know you want to market, so you think do it this early, but I like to see him delay that a bit more. But we'll have to see, because there he goes. He sells his stone. He bought wood and food. That must have been a misclick. I don't think he wanted to buy wood originally.
Maybe for the second archer range, and maybe some to get to the next age. This will be pretty tight if he really wants to make a fast castle happen. I think Blacksmith needs to be put down, and yeah, that's what he's doing now. Oh, he actually traps the Villager, funnily enough.
Villager on the Blacksmith. Oh, true. Yeah, Villager should escape. Yo tried to get damage in on Sito. Margu's here to help. But Sito's still not moving out with the double archer range production. So in theory, they've got the... They should have a military advantage, at least, for the time being, but... Haven't moved out. I can understand that, though. The meta definitely seems to be, don't move out with your archers until you have some walls down, and you know the scouts aren't going to surprise you when you're against the scout player.
Yeah, feels very safe, especially if you feel like, damn, if we played the clean macro game, Sito's so on point right now that you could actually threaten Yo and Lux in this one. So I think he wants to play the very clean game and doesn't want to take like any weird risks.
You could maybe consider this a little weird risk. Could always surprise Margugu, but Margu has the walls down, and it's so good. Your wood line can always be relocated to back wood lines. You've got your farm eco safe, your berries, everything is safe behind there. And now Yo with the market as well, but this might just be so he has cartography. So he can see what his ally's up to, but that's a little early for me.
Is he maybe selling stone as well? Could that be an option? Lux now on stone. This is not to build a town center or go for Mamelukes. This is just basically more efficient gold because you can sell it as at a higher rate.
Yo getting trapped there, losing some HP. And Yo also with 25 seconds of TC idle time. It's 40 seconds for Lix, and then it's sub 10 for Sito and Margu. So I think the execution overall with the military production and the eco has been better for the Baguettes so far.
Feels a bit like it. That's a lot of scouts as well. Remember, neither player can go for bloodlines, so that's not really timing. So if you see a timing, then it would be the +1 armor most likely. Lux continuing to sell some resources, but so far away when it comes to food.
What's good, though, is that Sito has all these archers, and Margu has all these scouts, and they're chasing. This is exactly when I think Tato in team games flank, like this is the type of thing that your team tends to do. It's just constantly like get an army there, have it be strong enough where they have to react to you, and then the next army that comes forward for you guys is going to be more effective. And I just don't think it's good against Saracens, right? Like, I feel like with Saracens, you want to pressure either the Saracens ally or Saracens early before they hit Castle Age.
Most of the time, that's true. And yeah, that's just an overkill in the back. Look at that. 15 units chasing down 4.
Exactly, yeah. But at least they are going to run forward now. 26 army versus 14. Licks, very common for him to add that third range. I actually have fond memories of Licks in the 2v2 World Cup going 5 ranges with Saracens with like 3 farms. Like the guy just went for crazy archer numbers. I think it was a Golden Pit game where he and Licks brought it back just because he was just going crazy with archers, and I think that's what we'll see here. Do you think Margu made too many scouts here? Or do you think that's enough?
Yeah, no, that's what you said already, and yeah, it's a clear overproduction there. 10 scouts without being aggressively, like they have to think like they have the better civilizations in late game to like really commit that heavily, but I don't even see that as a fact.
Well, Lix's numbers are safe at home. He will have that tech, and he is closer to hitting Margu than he is Sito. So I think that's actually good for Sito, because you have to expect that his eco is much better, which it is. You can clearly see that if you look at his base. And I expect the third archer range from him. But actually, as I say that, he actually has very little on wood. He has 6 on wood. So I don't know what happened there. Also, how did Yo get a scout in there? That was very weird. But here come the armies converging over towards Lix, and Lix hits Castle Age now. This has got to be terrifying if you're Margu.
Yeah. Oh, but it's open for Lix. Scouts could potentially go in.
Also, Lix didn't have fletching. Lix didn't have fletching. He's fighting with archers without fletching right now. Lix, you got to get fletching while you're on the way up, man.
Oh, yo, the greed. And that's tricky that he was so far out there. And that is the perfect situation for Sito and Margugo. Big slip up by Lux.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. Like, that's your time window right there. That's what everything that you've gone for was designed for. That is a rookie mistake. How did he forget to get fletching on the way up? He probably forgot it because normally you're always fighting with fletching in feudal. And he just assumed.
What's the KD now for Lux? It has to be horrible. And he's the only one playing Castle Age. 12 to 21. And he's the only Castle Age player.
Yep. He's going to get Bodkin now, but guess what? So is Sito. And Sito's got that archer mass, and it's cheaper for Sito to get the numbers. And quite honestly, like, you pick Saracens for the time window that we just saw close. That's why you pick Saracens. So this is going to be on Yo now, I think, to maybe outplay Margu a little bit with his faster Castle Age. And you can see the possibilities there. He's adding a TC in the center. He's going 2 stable knights, and now it's their turn.
And also, the scouts actually paid off now, right? We said they were overproduced. Normally they don't do anything in this game anymore, but they did so much against an army that they should have no business at doing damage to.
Look at Sito trying to get in on this. Good job from Lix with the walling. I mean, could have made the gate on the other side maybe instead of on the back side, but good work there. I think the key right now for Sito is not losing your groups of archers as they run them forward. That's going to be the tricky task here because he's trying to meet up this one group with the other right now. You can see Yo's looking for them with the scouts and the knights.
Oh, he shouldn't be there. I think Sito shouldn't be here.
Not without ballistics, Nilly. Not without ballistics. Is he going to overextend here?
Without the knight help. He should know that Yo has a way shorter reinforcement line. Look at that. 2 knights against 6 there.
If only Lix could have run to the north of his ranges, but he is going to get some volleys off. He's getting some good shots in. They're also at the bottom of the hill now, the Baguettes. And it looks like Yo is going to have a better economy than Margu slightly. And the archer numbers are going to even out here again. And we have ourselves a really competitive game.
But losing the big crossbow advantage there. I think Sito played a bit too aggressively. Yeah, they had a good fight against Lux, but that doesn't mean that Margugo was ahead of Yo because they invested into so many scouts.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe just fall back. Fall back, wait at either your own base or Margu's base, and wait till Margu gets that Night Mass because you know Yo is going to be out there. I think the key here now is that Yo's gold in the middle, the gold of his base, will not be hit. And there's always potential that there could be a gold issue for Margu because Margu didn't TC the middle. So as you see, Licks come out towards the center. There is very little gold secured in the center for the Baguettes, and that's the key here on this map.
Yeah, they need to go for their 3rd TCs towards the center for sure. Still no villagers being sent in. Maybe they want to play 2 TC, but, well, then in some minutes, maybe even less than 5.
Lix's economy is pretty much on par with what I remember from that one game I mentioned.
Yeah, it looks like.
He's got 3 farms, but I mean, his vill count is super low right now. He's actually almost 20 villagers behind Sato, and he didn't lose many. But I think the key, when you have Lix and Yo, is Lix just needs to commit to full army. And then Yo has the ability to go for incredible boom with Knights. He has to focus on the eco, obviously, but he's one of the best players with that in our game today.
Yeah, certainly.
36 army versus 28, and Ballistics now for Sato, so now he can maybe move out more comfortably. And it feels like we're building up for a really big fight, like 50 military versus 50 military or something.
Right now, WWP has 10 extra, and look at that. They know, okay, your army is there. Let's deny gold. But Sato is not really on gold, so he might just intercept some more reinforcements. Could go in for the raid because Sato's base is open.
Margu is selling stone. He just sold a little bit of stone. Obviously, getting a castle up with Franks in the middle would always be good. And I feel like Margu and Sato, they didn't know where the army was going to go. It's such a good move. Lix went home, and then Yo moves forward, and here comes the reaction now from the Baguettes. But this just really hurts the flow now for Sato. All of his new units, he's got to reset gather points. And now Lix has an opportunity to find out where the other army is and make a decision to maybe go towards Margu. But it might be a mistake for Yo to dive this deep here, Gilly. I'm not sure. If he doesn't come out with a lot of army after this, it could be all the pressures on Lix.
He went in with like 8 knights, right? And he idled so much, killed villagers. This is absolutely great. Yeah, I think Yo is getting massive amount of value, and he might even get out there with like 2-3 knights alive.
And look where Lix can go. Lix knows now that the army has gone to Sato's base, so he now goes to Margu. And what does Margu have to do? Margu has to react again.
Oh boy.
43 army. Lix has more crossbows than villagers right now. It's insane.
Oh, such a Lux thing. And, well, still, now the crossbows of Lux are a bit out on the open. Still has a nice flock of crossbows here, but could be surrounded by all the knights.
Ooh, Yo gets here in time, though. Margu's not in position. So it actually ends up being better for Yo and Lix, I think. Certainly the crossbow mass is there, but that's a lot of knights for Margu. Yo did lose some knights with that dive earlier. And, oh, it's an amazing surround for Margu. The dream scenario. He chews it up. How did that happen? Anytime I go in for an attack with knights, they do not path like that. Well played, devs. The melee's been fixed, apparently. And the Baguettes are back in this game. Holy.
Or just maybe Margu's knight control might be better than yours, but...
Way better.
Probably unlikely. No. The pathing changed. The pathing changed, for sure.
I mean, they say that every patch, so...
Yeah, that's true.
They said that every patch for the last 2.5 years, but that was so incredibly efficient there. You got the stack around all the crossbows, and I think it was a mistake for Lix to move forward. He should have pulled back and waited till Yo caught up with the knight numbers again. Also, Margu's eco, 68 vills, Yo 66. And Margu just got a TC up in the middle gold.
But Baguettes have
very impressive.
A 30 villager lead.
Yeah. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Lix was going full army and not eco. And, I mean, he doesn't have the army anymore. So he's on 5 ranges trying to recover. But Sato, with this economy, could easily do the same with Mayans.
Knight numbers still pretty solid. 17 against 22. Crossbow-wise, we have a slight advantage. And none in production for Sato. Try to squeeze in Thumbring. And look at that. Stone count enough for a castle. Where do you place it, Tristan?
Oh, you got to place it on that gold. Man, Lix had 50 crossbows, and he dipped down to 15 after that fight. That was the game-changing fight. And now you're behind all this economy, but you're not ahead in military anymore. It feels like WWP need to stop this castle, but I don't believe they'll be able to. I think they can take a good fight, but I think the castle goes up.
In the fight, yeah, feels slightly better for them. More knights are coming in, but from both sides, Castle easily going up. Crossbow should micro back, and Magugu is losing all his knights in exchange, but that will be a nice position to have for the Baguettes.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be so awkward now if Lix ever needs to help Yo or Yo ever needs to help Lix. Castle obviously having ballistics. And they can kind of just decide to go anywhere. Yo did just hit the gold for Margu at that moment. So that was well played from him, but Margu did react nicely there. They need to take care of that castle. Like, now Lix is wide open to the Knight raid. I don't think Lix really has the numbers anymore, nearly. 33 is still impressive, but now they have no control over the game, and the Knights are just going to be all over him.
Yeah, the numbers shouldn't really rise. There's no gold control for him. Knights are in his economy. Mangonel threatening the town center there as well. And as we all know, you don't have any gold. He went to the left-hand side, but that's super exposed.
Yeah. Like, I like the fact that he's sending his group with Yo over to Sito right now. That's the only way they win this game, is if they somehow 2v1 Sito and do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But now I just look at Margu, and Margu's going to drop a castle on Lix. Margu will be completely untouched. Should have the economy to make more knights. And, of course, Sito can afford to lose a few villagers compared to Lix. He's 40 villagers ahead. But the TC will go down. It is Saracen crossbows here.
Sito has shockingly low numbers. 15 crossbow here. Needed to add more archer ranges. Look at that. 12 crossbows in the queue. And will lose the town center.
If they... Is it possible that Yo and Lix could take out Margu's town center as well to the north of this?
I don't think so, no.
Is WWP gonna win this?
Military-wise,
military.
they're plus 30 military.
and Sito doesn't have gold. Margu must be so confused right now. He doesn't know where to go. He's like, I just castled him. We castled Yo as well. Yo has gold on the right side, by the way. I think Sito is gonna, Margu is gonna possibly lose this TC, which is the only area he's taking gold right now.
I think this could be a hold. Crossbow numbers are still not pretty. Crossbows can focus down the town center though. I think let it go to the 50% and then try to force the attack here. Feels like what the Baguettes are going for.
Yeah, you gotta use your TC here to focus down crossbows if you're Margu. Every little bit helps. It's very awkward for Lix to get new army to meet up with this because of the castle positioning. And Yo's going to come out with Rams. Rams and Knights against the castle. And Sito's using villagers, but I don't think Sito will be able to keep this castle up.
Oh,
and the fight is actually really close here, but Margu's going to hold it barely.
Oh, and now the knight needs to go down to the bottom, down to 2 rams. Castle still will obviously help out. More villagers being sent for the repair, but all of those should die to the knights.
Yeah, and he's got 15 villagers in the castle, and then he's got all these other villagers running to the castle. Military count for WWP still insane, and look to the left. You have Lix with more crossbows. He's been using the market like crazy. And he's going to drop a TC there, and Margu will lose all those villagers on gold.
Flux is actually going for it. Triple ram, more repair here for the villagers. Where are the red knights? Only now coming. Magugu, the lack of gold income was so costly. And those villagers at the left-hand side are indeed dying. Even population.
Yeah, even population. The castle stays up for Sito for now. But who can stop Lix? Lix has 40 crossbows again. There needs to be a big mangonel shot for Margu here, I think.
But not in the queue. Doesn't have the gold for it.
Doesn't have the gold, yeah. I think even garrisoning that 1 TC hurt him massively with his knight production. But Sito is actually back with army production. Sito now has 30 crossbows. And maybe they could kill Lix's army together. Because there's only 22 here for Lix.
Sito's not really queuing up.
This is an insane game.
Oh, that's a close one. Where are the knights? Okay, now coming in. Seems like a full clear up. Sito sending in more, but Sito will also lose some villagers at the gold.
Yeah, also, it's very possible the castle goes down for Sito because there's another ram. He can't use the villagers there anymore. So you got Lix taking losses. You have Sito taking losses. The knight players are still both in really good positions. And Yoa's going to try and drop a castle in the middle. This is the game of the day so far. This is incredible.
Wow, what an aggressive castle. Oh,
well,
replaces it.
I think he's going to place it somewhere else after seeing the TC there from Margu. And yeah, he's going to place it a bit more passively.
Oh, look at the gates by Sito, saving his army here. That's something we want to see more in the future.
But Nilly, I'm not sure if that does enough to stop the castle. I'm not sure if that does enough to stop another castle from going up. It doesn't... Well, no, he does still have the other castle up. This is so insane. Where's Lix's ball? Lix is coming in on the left again. Margu has got to be so frustrated by Lix.
Double Siege
Such
Workshop.
a pest.
Double Siege Workshop, but still can't afford any mangonels.
Mangonels, yeah. Also, he's going to run out of gold pretty soon. Like, that one TC in the north is going to run out faster than we think.
Yeah. So true.
So,
because he's constantly producing knights.
Yeah, I mean, same with... It would be the same with Yo if he wouldn't have just got that castle up. But now that he's got that gold secured, it feels like it's very realistic that Yo could just push Sito and keep Sito off of gold. Sito only has those villagers behind that weak castle. There goes Lix on the left. Killing plenty of villagers. It's a quadruple siege workshop play now for Margu, but I think he just did that to wall it off. Honestly, really impressive.
but still, there's not a single... Now the first Scorpion being queued up.
Yeah. Yeah, Scorpion is just not the play. You need half that army to be wiped out in one shot right now. And he's sending all of his knights over here. Lix has too many crossbows. 50 crossbows is way too much to deal with here.
Yeah, I don't think the knight rate is the best one there. It feels like it's even more than 50. 52 crossbows while the gold is getting attacked. Nice find by Mr. Yo.
Yeah, and this all comes back to Sito struggling for the gold. Only had the gold next to that castle. An awkward spot. You know Yo's going to push that again. Yo's in his economy. Yo is in Margu's economy. And Lix is just going to push forward again. I don't think the Scorpion's going to make him hesitate at all. And WWP very close to finishing this one off now. They are still behind in villagers, but they're ahead by 70 military.
Castle in the center. This castle shouldn't go up. Way too many crossbows around this.
Yeah, and also, the castle for Sito is definitely going down this time. He's out of stone. Yo is sending in knights there and the rams. All those villagers will die for Sito. He still hasn't even cleaned up the knights that are in his base. And Lix still has fewer villagers, and it just doesn't matter. Because he's got 69 army, man. He lost a ball of 50 crossbows and ended up getting back to 40 or 50 like it was nothing.
Oh man, he's just one of the craziest in those scenarios. More villagers being sent in from the left-hand side now. Market prices already at the bottom for wood. Town center is going down and so many villages are going to fall. I wouldn't be surprised if villager lead is being taken over, and it would have been. Military advantage was massive, and WWP keeps their dreams alive, takes it for one.
Man, it's so crazy. We had 3 swings in this game. We had that moment where we're talking about Margu over-investing into scouts. Then it paid off because of a mistake from Lix. Then Sito, and this was maybe not like the biggest mistake ever, but they did have the lead, and then he stayed too close to Yo and ended up losing his army. Then I'm looking at Lix thinking he's going to kill all, and for those that are like, oh, come on, T90, there is a big Vil lead. I've seen this team in 2v2 do this type of thing before. I said it in Dark Age. Like, go back and watch the 2v2 World Cup if you didn't see it. Lix would consistently make tons of army, but then he lost it nearly. And so I'm thinking, surely, now the Vil lead matters, and now against Mayans of all civs, that Sito's going to compete, but Yo and Lix brought it back. Crazy game.
Really good one for sure. 45 minutes exactly. And yeah, just both playing to their full strengths, right? Lux, low economy and his amount of crossbows, so annoying, finding good fights. And Yo just harassing everywhere. Crazy macro. How many villages he found over and over against Magugo in the center and Lux against Sito in the center and at home. Just impressive.
I want to go back real quick. So the castles, I feel were good for Margu and for Sito, but I want to see what they had scouted after the castles went up. Sorry, I'm just trying to zoom through. And the reason I bring this up is because Lix loses his army. He then soon after gets castle dropped. Okay, so like right now, I went to 35 minutes. So I guess it was pretty late that he got castle dropped. But, I mean, that TC's in jeopardy then. And if Margu sends any amount of knights to that gold on the left at the same time, granted, a lot of other crap's happening, that the crossbow numbers just wouldn't be able to maintain. And maybe you could say similar thing with Yo. Like, when Yo lost his gold to the castle from Sito, Yo's going to the right side immediately. So I guess the gold focus was just better from Yo and Lix in that game. But also the military production. I mean, Lix had so much army production compared to Sito.
Just one knight to every gold spot, or one scout to every gold spot, and life is so much easier for you.
Yeah. I think we probably didn't get to talk about it, but I honestly think Lix having Saracens helped him out so much to recover with numbers, because he definitely was pulled off of resources that he needed at crucial moments. And I just kept looking to the left, and it was Lix has sold wood, Lix has bought wood, Lix has sold stone, Lix has done this. I think the market, man, allowed him to not even compete with the Mayans, but outproduce the Mayans that game.
Absolutely sick.
So
Impressive
for
play.
WWP, they could tie for
Third
tie
place.
for third if there's a sweep in the next series.
Correct.
Okay. What do you expect to sweep in the next series?
Nope. My prediction before the day was 3-2 WP and 3-2 AM.